Wonderful day. It is not too crazy of a news day, just a lot of drama with Elon and Donald Trump and the bill. We've got to hear a couple of updates with trade yesterday, but now we are about to get Jerome Powell. So it's actually going to start here right at the bell. And so Donald Trump and the bill. So this is going to be a lot of fun. People are actually, he's not supposed to say much, but some people are throwing out the possibility that he talks about rate cuts. Why? Because a lot of the other Fed people, as of late, they have been bringing that up as well. So we'll see where it all plays out. But Chad, we got a couple of minutes. I do have a couple of plays. Actually, I think it's going to be simple. Again, yesterday we only made 2 plays. I thought they were mistakes, and then they ended up hitting. One of them was Apple, but we'll see. I'm not looking to play too much unless it's an easy one or we get some breaking news extremely early. But here is the deal. China casinos, that is your theme this morning. So if you're already here paying attention, here is your little breadcrumb that I think will help you out. I don't know if they're going to hold up. I don't know if it'll fade or not. That's, up to the market. But fact of the matter is there was China, Macau numbers, and a lot of these travel plays and casinos, and they're getting very optimistic. Again, a lot of people have been waiting to see what happens with China. So for that to happen, I think it's kind of big, bro. The 7'5" Chinese women. You got Yao Mings? We got female Yao Ming in 2025? Oh, hell yeah. Well, now WNBA. Oh, they saw Angel Reese. They saw Caitlin Clark, and they said, I raise you Yao Ming female version. Oh, no. That's crazy. But, yeah, I'm going to be watching LVS win Circle and then MLCO. So 3 of them are hotels. Then Circle is not a hotel. Isn't that crazy? What do you mean female Yao Ming, bro? I'm a big Yao Ming fan. You know that? I don't know why. Even all this stuff I know about communist China, I'm a huge Yao Ming fan. You know that? I love Yao Ming, bro. And as somebody who is like legitimately half his size, or a little, probably 30% of his size, I love Yao Ming, bro. I don't know why we didn't. I'm surprised Yao Ming is not a bigger figure today. You know what I'm saying? I don't know why. This is crazy. But other than that, we'll see. RKLB gaining traction. I don't like space plays, so sadly, I'm not the guy to ask. I know they are going to be getting money in the bill or some of these like space exploration, but I do not know enough to invest in them. So I just stay away from them. I know like nicotine, I know banks and stuff like that. That's why I look at most of everything in our long term, about. I don't know how Botox works, but I know how Botox works, if that makes sense. RKT completes Redfin deal. When do we get the money? Fuck. Because I was going to sell it to get the money for the crib. And then, bro, my inspection is on Thursday. These guys told me Monday. And then they said Tuesday. And then they're like, okay, just kidding, Thursday. All right, well, we got 10 seconds, baby. Call out anything. I should have went to the potty. But yeah, don't post any plays. That's not against the rules. Please read the rules. Please follow the rules. Call out any news. And if you need anything, you let me know. Round 1. Fight. Let's go, baby. Good morning. All right, who was it? There was Nike was moving, and then there was another one. I don't know what that other one is. MLCO. This is it's apparently a hotel, but it's super small. I like Win as well. I don't know why that's not moving. Robinhood on the high. Again, a couple of real estate plays. NASDAQ down by 0.4. Staples coming down. Boeing has CFO news. SPY down a quarter. Dow down 0.07. And Russell down almost 3/4. Powell should be on right now. Yeah, they're playing music. I have video feed. Let me see if I could get another one. But yeah, Jerome Powell should be here. Like I'm telling you, you just heard from him. You're not expecting much, but the weird theme, and I kept telling this on the watch list the last couple of days, is that the rate cut odds keep climbing. Remember, I've been showing you that chart there as well too. So a lot of Fed people recently have talked about rate cuts. So there is a chance he says it. I doubt it, but eyes peeled or ears open. I don't know. But yeah, that's kind of one of the things we're looking for here to see if it actually plays out. All right. That's old. Oh. Okay, yeah, wait, he's on the schedule. I have this feed and I have another feed. So yeah, he's not on yet, but he's supposed to be. All right, I got all of them. I have every feed now. So we'll see. I got the news feeds, and then I have the actual ECB feed, and then I have the restream. So we'll see which one comes out first. You guys are on a little bit of a delay, but again, should be still early. Too early. Too early. Apple, I don't really care about it. I made 1,000% on it yesterday. We just hit the news right away. And then all of the plays are still up 500% from yesterday. So just be careful. Tesla falls 7.1. Nike is a go, Habibi. Nike is a go. I can't believe those apples are up like that. All right, well, let's see where your boy comes on. But yeah, Jerome Powell, he was supposed to be here 6:30. He hasn't came out yet. We haven't heard anything. Also be on the lookout for a pre-written statement. So you might very shortly here, if he does have a pre-written statement, he should. You might get that hitting the wires, and you'll be reacting to the first part of it pretty good. I think they will do a Q&A. I hope they do. If they do, then we really got lucky. Oh!
We are facing major structural changes.
Oh yeah, show them the clip.
Related to aging,
yeah, cut it.
digitalization, the greening of the economy.
Fuck yeah, more windmills, tax subsidies. Everybody rides birds. They're annoying as fuck.
And with all that, we have to deliver on our mission.
Bike wheel,
price stability.
Nice.
So if you're interested in those issues,
we all can't afford houses
come
anymore.
to
Thanks,
the ECB
Christine.
forum in Sintra. We will debate all that.
How much money did it
and
cost
more.
to go to Sintra and host this forum? How much did this video cost? Do you really care about me?
Major structural changes.
Oh, they're watching it. So look, this
Related
is the video
to
they're
aging,
playing, and then this is all of them sitting
digitalization,
awkwardly.
the greening of the economy.
Hello.
Welcome back after lunch.
Welcome back. We
I'm
hate you all.
delighted to announce
We are
one of
delighted
the
to
highlights
destroy your
of the
global
ECB
economy
Sintra Forum.
as long as it
Our
makes
policy
Donald
panel.
Trump look bad.
The
Thank
world
you.
economy is undergoing a period of rapid
And the
and
world
intense
economy could be
change.
sacrificed if it stops
The questions
evil
of our
orange
next
man.
panel,
Thank you.
the questions for our next panel will cover what these fundamental shifts mean for the future of monetary policy. And we are honoured to have an exceptional lineup of officials to answer them. We are also honoured to have Francine Lacroix, anchor and editor-at-large at Bloomberg Television, to be guiding the
Wow,
conversation.
thanks. You guys brought
Francine,
out the
floor
most
is
unbiased
yours.
place got to do the interview. Awesome.
Claire, thank you
So
so
happy.
much for that introduction.
yeah,
What can I
JD
say?
and
We have
Baba.
1 hour and there's a lot
Yo,
to discuss.
China.
So welcome to the policy panel,
Hi.
Sintra
China's waking up.
2025. Now, from tariff-related trade ructions to oil price gyrations, caused by also Middle East hostilities, there are many questions on, first of all, how to handle the fallout from some of the political decisions, but much more how the economy behaves. Now, 1 year on since the last Sintra panel, and of course halfway through 2025, global policy needs to navigate risks posed both to inflation and growth, a challenge highlighted by the Bank for International Settlements in a report this week. So let's get started. We have 1 hour. Kazuo Ueda, Governor, Bank of
You got
Japan.
an hour?
Of course, our host, Christine Lagarde,
Oh, and we
of
got
the
Ueda?
European Central Bank
Oh!
President. We have Jay Powell, Chair, Board of Governors
That's
of
all
the
I care
Federal
about.
Reserve
You got
System.
Ueda and
we
Powell.
have Chang Yong-ri, Governor, Bank of Korea, and then
Fuck
Andrew
yeah.
Bailey, Governor for the Bank of England. Madame Lagarde, let's start with you as our host. So first of all, thank you so much for having us all here. We had a little bit of data today, this morning, consumer prices rising
Zillow's
some
on the
2%
high.
from a year ago, up from May's 1.9%. But then the tariffs still loom large. So how do you see that developing?
Well, first of all, I would note that we are at 2%. And this is the latest reading. This is also the target that we have had, and this is the projection that our staff is indicating for the medium term, which is exactly what we had anticipated. So I'm not saying mission accomplished, but I say target reached, okay? And I think we should start by recognizing that. We faced a massive amount of shocks, compounded shocks occasionally, and we are now through that disinflationary process that we have conducted over the last 2 years. And yes, we are facing a lot of uncertainty. Yes, we are facing the risk of fragmentation increasing. And yes, we are facing geopolitical developments that are worrying generally, but that also are causing two-side risk to inflation. So we have to continue to be extremely vigilant. We have to continue to be committed to delivering on our target. And I think we are at this point in time in a very good position to do that. So we are well equipped to navigate the tormented waters that we should anticipate.
Chair Powell, tariffs are not yet showing up in inflation. Is this forcing you or your staff to actually rethink what the models say about how much the tariffs will ultimately through some of the final prices?
So thank you, Francine, and Christine, thank you to you and your colleagues for putting on another great conference here today. It's been a pleasure. I guess I would start, if I may, by saying that the U.S. economy is in a pretty good position.
We'll talk about it after,
down, close to 2%. We're at 2.3 headline, 2.7 core. The unemployment rate is at 4.2%, so we're healthy overall. If you ignore the tariffs for a second, inflation is behaving pretty much exactly as we have expected and hoped that it would. We haven't seen effects much yet from tariffs, and we didn't expect to by now. We've always said that the timing, amount, and persistence of the inflation would be highly uncertain, and it's certainly improved that. So we're watching. We expect to see over the summer some readings, higher readings, but we're prepared to learn that it can be higher or lower or later or sooner than we'd expected.
But Chair, would the Fed have cut more by now if it weren't for the tariffs?
So I think that's right. In effect, we went on hold when we saw the size of the tariffs, and where
he's hinting it.
Essentially all
this is what I was telling you. See if his vibe starts going more
went
towards rate cuts, that will be markedly different.
So we didn't overreact.
But again, a lot of this is weird.
We're
Apple's ripping.
Taking some time, as long as the U.S. economy
like I'm saying, because he's saying he'd cut, but remember,
we think
every other person on that fucking stage, they've already been cutting like it's fucking 2020.
Again, they haven't really shown up.
We went on hold when we saw the size of tariffs. This isn't new,
South Korea's
but
economy is, of
just
course,
being a little bit
reliant on trade. Putting aside the deals that each government can strike with the Trump administration, what can central banks in your position do to shield economies from the impact of trade tariffs?
I mean, bro, he might be done.
About the tariffs' impact on inflation.
I'm telling you, we'll go over it, but
well stabilized
he legitimately, there's evidence
we
of him lying in front of Congress.
Deflationary rather than inflationary for three reasons. One
Trump
is Korea is not likely to use retaliatory tariff. Second, we import 22% of our import from China, and recently export price of China has been falling at 5% a year for several years, and we believe that it will continue to do so. And at this moment, our growth rate is 0.8%, which is well below our potential growth rate. So aggregate demand pressure is much lower. So our problem is not the inflation itself, but the gross impact of tariff.
So what does that mean you'll do going forward?
Yeah, actually, we have been in an easing cycle, and we cut our interest rate 100 BP from last October. And we will continue to be in an easing cycle given our growth rate. But recently, financial stability risk has been rising, especially housing price in metropolitan area is increasing very fast. So we are keeping an eye on this financial stability risk in deciding the pace and the timing of the further cuts.
Governor Bailey, you've taken the view that the latest rises in inflation in the UK will be transitory. Why are you so confident that inflation will fall back?
Actually, you may have detected I've tried to avoid using the transitory word because it was, oddly enough, it has a bit of a history. But to be serious, obviously any increase in inflation is an increase in inflation, sorry to state the obvious. The reasons it's gone up is really entirely due to so-called administered prices. Now, that's, as I say, that's an increase in prices, don't get me wrong. But it's not telling us much or anything about the context of the economy. In other words, it's not telling us anything really much about the balance of supply and demand in the economy. So I think the key judgment for us is, are we going to get second round effects from this this pickup? And of course, it's nothing like the pickup of a few years ago, just to be clear. And my judgment is at the moment is that the context is different, that we do see evidence. I see some signs of softening in the economy, I see signs of softening in the labour market. We are going to have to see those come through, though. I mean, come through into prices. I think we've still got to see the evidence and prices. But that background context allows certainly me to say, look, I think the direction of interest rates continues to be downwards.
When you look at all of the uncertainty, again, it's a bold call given what happened to oil prices and trade negotiations?
It is. I mean, I would say two things on that. One, I think as others have said, it's probably, Jay was saying, I think it's a bit too soon, I think, really to see the price effects coming through from the trade and tariffs action. We've made a point of saying also that, I think as Christine was saying, that these are two-sided. They could go either way. Could be weaker demand. We could see supply chain disruption. And the second thing, of course, is that some of these effects, if you take the oil price story, it's gone up, it's come down, all since our last meeting, effectively. So, we always reach for the lexicon at this point. I mean, we've added unpredictability to uncertainty. I was slightly amused at the introductory film this morning.
Yeah, UNH, that's like round 3, and you got Humana.
Because
now you got
not
FedEx,
only are we getting
Win.
uncertainty
Again,
in the sense,
like I told
the
you, I
range
think
of
the big
outcomes,
news
but
today is the
unpredictable in the
casino,
sense that if you get
China
things like
shit.
the tariff action,
Now you got a couple
history
of other
really
things
isn't a
moving. SPY
particularly good
hasn't
guide
moved,
to that.
Mag 7
Actually, you
effect
can't
still in
really
play.
draw much from the past on that.
Now, Governor Ueda, you're in a slightly different situation, right? Japan CPI has
And
stayed
AMD.
above 2% for 3 years now. What do you see as the fundamental changes in your economy that make inflation more persistent?
So let me say, to put it simply, as you say, headline inflation has been above 2% for almost 3 years, while what we call underlying inflation is still somewhat below 2%. That's the situation we are in. But if I could decompose it further, there's probably about 3 components to it. First, there's underlying inflation dictated by wage price dynamics, whereby increases in prices affect wages, which further affect prices, helped by resilient.
I know, I just saw that. You did get Nike.
This component has been
Boeing
growing
is still
slowly.
going. Now you got Lulu and Nike.
But as I said,
They're
it's
both
still
moving.
somewhat below 2%. Then
Yeah,
there's
Lulu-
going
or
to be
Boeing
perhaps a
211.
second component, which will be the expected negative effects of possible tariffs on the economy and on prices. We are expecting this to take place, but we haven't seen that yet. There's a third component, which is a domestic supply shock generated by increases in food prices. Actually, this component accounts for about 50% of the headline inflation we've got at the moment. So netting these 3, we think
manufacturing
the first
PMIs came in
component and
hot.
The second component
That's good.
will
52.9
produce
versus
a slow
52.
increase in underlying inflation toward 2%.
That means jobs are
by
not
end
gonna be weaker,
26 or
probably.
27. The third component, food inflation, is going to subside for
Similar,
the year
but
end.
yeah, came in
So
stronger.
that we will be closely
52.9 versus
monitoring
52.
interplays between these 3 forces.
But Governor, how do you view
Employment
trade
dropped, though.
concerns the day after President Trump threatened Japan with more tariffs?
Well, it's being negotiated by our
Oh, no, that's not the
minister
right one.
in-
That's
in
S&P.
charge. So,
No.
I'm trying to
Give it
avoid
another
making
10 more
any
minutes,
specific
15
comments on
minutes.
this.
So let me just ask you, what will be the key trigger for Japan for deciding further rate hikes?
Okay, more Lulu. Now you got Apple, a
as I
couple of
said,
crypto
it's-
plays. Remember,
it
crypto's
will
down.
depend on the relative strength of the 3.
And now you're going
inflation
up, you
dynamics,
gap down, so
I was
Dow is the only
describing.
thing in the green,
And
advancing.
we need some more information to determine that.
President Lagarde, when you look at rate cuts, I mean, are we gonna, where do you see actually the ECB going? You're in a pretty comfortable position right now out of all the central banks.
Data will tell. I think we are determined to continue to be data dependent, to decide meeting by meeting, and to not commit to any particular rate path. That's the doxa. And we're very lucky because we have just completed our strategy assessment, which really gives us a good framework and good strategy lines within which to operate. But those three aspects that I have mentioned, data dependent, meeting by meeting, no commitment to any particular rate path, are constant in that ongoing strategy based on what we have concluded actually yesterday.
Jay Powell?
So from our standpoint, as you will have seen, a solid majority of FOMC participants do expect that it will become appropriate later this year to begin to reduce rates again. And so, that will depend, though, as Christine just mentioned, on the incoming data. We'll be monitoring particularly what does show up in terms of inflation or what does not show up, and also carefully watching the labor market. We watch very carefully for signs of unexpected weakness. We see a gradual cooling, but we don't really see that yet. So those are the things we'll be watching. But as I mentioned, a majority of us do feel that will be appropriate in the remaining 4 meetings of the year to begin to reduce rates again.
Oh, how about you get the
The
peach?
euro has also surged
That's
about
my
12%
Fed
against
chair
the
right
dollar so
there.
far this year. Are
Oh,
you
I'm
concerned
Bradley
that
Frickle in the
runs
peach,
counter
baby.
to your efforts to also loosen financial
Way more
conditions?
consistent than Powell.
I'm not going to
They
comment
don't.
on
The
the
peach
exchange
don't
rate.
lie on the stand. You kidding me?
We take it into account for purposes of our projections.
bless you, brother.
Obviously, it has an impact.
Good morning.
But it's
Happy
a reflection
America
of the market conditions and assessment. It's also a reflection of the strength of our economy. But there has been a clear appreciation relative to the dollar, and depending on how you look at it, it's either a depreciation of the dollar or an appreciation of the euros. And there might be a bit of both in that particular case. We're also looking at the movement, the flow of capitals and the attractiveness of euro-denominated assets, which is also an interesting phenomenon that we've observed lately.
Chair Powell, I mean, is it fair to say, I know, nothing is guaranteed, number one, we all know this. Barring a real surprise, is July just too soon to seriously even consider a rate cut?
Yeah, I really can't say. It's going to depend on the data, and we are going meeting by meeting. I mentioned, how I'm thinking about that, but I wouldn't take any meeting off the table or put it directly on the table. It's going to depend on how the data evolve.
Governor, what's the biggest risk stemming from protectionist trade policy, actually, for the global economy and for South Korea's?
Can you just...
The biggest risk stemming from trades and protectionist measures?
The Korea has a quite export-driven economy. So whatever the global fragmentation has a serious impact, not only direct impact through the US tariff, but also indirect impacts through China, Mexico, Canada. And we easily can, it really depends on what's going to happen on July 9th. We are actually waiting for the result, but we don't know what's going to happen. But for example, like if the tariff goes back to 26% retaliatory tariff that was announced in April 2nd. And then also with a lot of sectoral tariff which affect our economy, aluminum, steel, and cars, we can easily say that it has an impact larger than close to 1% in our GDP growth rate. And depending on how long it lasts, I think we have to adjust to the new supply chain, so the impact will be larger. But I hope that scenario won't come.
Alrighty, bonds.
What is the most concern for the Bank of Korea? Is it a stalling South Korea exports, slow down in global trade, or a downturn in the U.S. economy?
Potty break, OSHA.
It's all linked, right? It's all linked, right? So it's a global economy slow down. And one thing, I mentioned some negative sides only, but one positive side, I don't know if it's positive or not, but Korean companies has been preparing for the supply diversification long time ago before the tariff, U.S. tariffs start to do, because we have some issues with China, and then also Chinese industry has become very competitive. So we had to relocate our production site from China to elsewhere. So relatively speaking, we are well prepared. And second, still good thing is that we have some strong industry such as semiconductor, which benefit from the AI technology development. So I hope that we can manage it. But on the other hand, given the just if you look at the sheer size of the export dependence, we will be significantly affected.
Governor Bailey, do you think interest rates will be closer to 3 or 4% at the end of the easing cycle, given all of the inflation and trade dynamics?
That's a subtle way into the R-style question, actually, I would detect. So look, I'm fairly cautious about the whole discussion of the level of R-star and therefore sort of where rates are going to reach in the cycle. There is huge uncertainty around it. What I think is important, and what we spend our time looking at, is how restrictive is policy, both now and going forwards. And our staff do a huge amount of work on that front to judge the restrictiveness of policy in the current context, and how restrictive it's going to be looking forwards if you project forward with the market curves. And the assessment we've got at the moment is that policy remains restrictive. It will continue to be restrictive, although the level of restrictiveness will come down over time, which is what I would expect. So I would expect that level of restrictiveness to come down to a point where it goes more neutral. But I think you have to judge that in context. Just to give you an example of that in the UK economy, the level of household and corporate debt in the UK economy is actually lower than we would have expected it to be, but based on past experience. So again, that feeds through into just how restrictive policy is at a given interest rate.
Run-up.
It's somewhat less restrictive probably
Tesla's recovered
than
2%.
it would have been historically.
SPY about to go
Could I ask all of you
break
actually
even,
thoughts
NASDAQ.
on the neutral rates? Chair Powell.
Third to go.
Thoughts on the neutral rate?
Yeah,
So I think there are countless empirical and theoretical ways to derive it.
Check all the
at the
healthcare.
end of the day, I think I like to look at the economy and ask whether our policy stance is having the effects we expect and want on the economy. And to me, I would say we're somewhere probably modestly restrictive at this level. And by some formulations, we're more restrictive than that. But if you look at the economy, growth has been solid. The labor market is solid and still at historically low levels of unemployment. It's not an economy that feels like it's suffering from very tight monetary policy, but I would say that policy is still restrictive.
President Lagarde?
I would say that it's a nice concept, it's interesting, and many of the terribly talented and brilliant economists in this room actually are delighted with discussion about the neutral rate. But honestly, as we're getting closer to target and to where we should be, or are where we should be, and I don't want to pass judgment on that, I think that discussion becomes less relevant. I think what our staff at the ECB measures is...
Hey, I forgot to unban everybody. It's July. I need to go do that.
Was before the great financial crisis.
I was just banning homie for breaking the rules, but then I was like, wait, I gotta go unban
relatively low as well.
So yeah, give me a second. You guys will get unbanned.
The US neutral rate is at the moment.
But yeah, data in 5 minutes. That's going to be the big one.
In a way, it's a bit of an illusion to discuss that at the moment, because the neutral rate is normally defined in a world where there is no shock, where you have perfect equilibrium. Now, are we in a world with no shocks at the moment?
No, I pick up the RV tomorrow.
So it's nice to have as a concept, nice to elaborate on it, nice to do research on it, but to use it at the moment where we are as a guiding principle to where we should be, I don't think is particularly appropriate.
Andrew Bailey?
Well, that sort of continues what I was saying earlier. Again, I don't use it as a sort of a guide to where policy should be, but I think this whole concept of restrictiveness is of course critical to our judgment, because that's critical to the transmission mechanism of policy, which we have to judge every time we meet. So that's a judgment that, in a sense, we renew every meeting we have. I think I'd rather agree with what Jay was just saying. I think in our case, policy is restrictive at the moment. It's going to become less restrictive based on the curve that we've got in the market. That's what I would expect. We will judge it each time.
Governor Ree? Similar.
Oh shit! You guys are.
How would you see it, Governor Ueda?
Yes. So we also estimated
news.
Something like the neutral rate a number of times. But the range of estimates is very wide.
But then it's not showing me any more
but
people.
At least we think we can say the current rate is below neutral.
Because I've banned way more than that.
But other than that, I would refer to what Jay said a year or two ago in the Jackson Hole conference, which was like, we are guided by our stars, but under cloudy sky.
President Lagarde, can you talk to us about scenario and why this is, because of the shocks and actually the changes that are going very fast, why scenarios make more sense as a template of the economy?
Well, maybe the
so
YouTube
this is a
got rid
topic
of
that
the
we have
alt
largely
accounts.
debated as part of the strategy assessment that we conducted in the last year. And I think, in fairness, the baseline, which is, the essential projection on which we work and determine our monetary policy stance, holds and is decisive in our consideration. But at the same time, our staff has, I wouldn't say forever, but as long as I know myself, has always conducted scenario analysis, sensitivity analysis, in order to arrive at, the most solid baseline. It is probably the case that we will do more of it, more systematically, that we might publish more often than we have. We have published, I think, in the last few years, in four circumstances we have published scenario analysis. The invasion of Ukraine was one, COVID was one, the oil crisis as well, and the tariff threats.
Yeah, bonds
so
are moving up. Get ready.
ECB
will cut more systematically with scenarios.
I think we might do more scenario analysis that will be looking at the longer-term trends that will affect our economy, and that will inform and strengthen our baseline, enhance it probably in its reliability. So that's what we are debating at the moment. How this is built, what assumptions we make, what choices are decided in terms of publishing will be determined by the Governing Council in good intelligence with our staff.
And Jay Powell, on scenarios?
So for many years, we have used scenario analysis internally, and I personally find it very useful. I think many of my colleagues do too. You have just many different kinds of scenarios. We have 6 or 7 at every FOMC meeting. They're often the topic of discussion among governors and at the meeting. We have not taken the step of using them as a public communications device, and that's a big difference. So that's one of the things we're going to be talking about this fall. We will wrap up the first part of our framework review, which is the consensus statement, our monetary policy framework. We expect to by the end of the summer. And then we're going to use the fall meetings to look at communications ideas, and that's one of the ones we'll look at. I will say it has a lot of appeal and a lot of questions, and so my expectation is if we're going to do something in that area, it's going to be putting a toe in the water and not just throwing ourselves over Niagara Falls on it. So I can imagine a situation where we would try that in a particular circumstance, but for us, we're just going to do the work and understand it, as many other central banks are doing now.
In our case, we use the scenario analysis in our risk management section as a kind of representing the tail risk. But I have to read the ECB report, but if we have to move that section into the more forecasting section for public communication, I wonder whether it's going to be easy to get some consensus, which scenario we have to do it among our members in the monetary policy meeting. So because that scenario and the underlying assumption may be much harder to communicate, to agree among the members. And
You're
also,
about to get the data
it's
right
specific
now.
to us, but how I can differentiate the previous approach of risk management section to the forecasting, that I have to think over what we have to do.
Ooh, 49.
So I think two things I would add.
Verse 48,
very much
slightly stronger, but something else is off.
One,
employment went down to 45, construction spending lower, JOLTS job quits went up.
For me, they were very useful. They were either on either side. They weren't symmetric, by the way, they were on either side. For me, they were very useful in terms of my decision making, because they helped me to answer the question, given the uncertainty. If I'm wrong in my judgment, how wrong am I going to be?
So it came in slightly hotter, but
consequences of that.
Prices wasn't there.
What would we then have to do to deal with them? I mean, is it manageable?
Yeah, you did get JOLTS at the same time.
And then I think the question, coming back to what Jay was saying in terms of public communication, this is the big step, I think. And
so you got a mix of jobs and then everything else.
I'll tell you why, because I say this quite a lot. We make a lot of conditional statements. You may have detected this in all the many interviews you do. And I'm not making a personal comment now, Francine, but a lot of those conditional comments get immediately translated.
I think you're watching bonds go down. It's overall positive data. in
We're
the
quite
sense
careful,
that
but
Yeah, no, it's not
it
personal.
more
You know, this is
supports
the general
Powell
point.
not having to do
And
much.
so,
think about
the reason I say
waiting
this
for all
is
of
that if we, and that's about the central case, by the
And
way.
then it
So if
means
we
you're
introduce
probably going to
scenarios,
have
we, you know,
just a similar
that's a
jobs
message to
report
us
to
that
the
you're going to have
last
to do
ones
this very
too.
carefully.
Again, these numbers are all
About what-
similar, but
because
once
to
again,
get the point
prices slightly
across
elevated,
about, you know,
employment
there
a
is
little
always
weaker, but
there's
then the
always
employment
uncertainty,
data
there is always risk.
showing
How
a
you
much more
calibrate those
stronger
and how
jobs
you,
market.
as Jay was saying, how you
That's why I think
communicate
the
those
bond's nice.
publicly is critical, but quite pretty challenging, frankly, in that environment.
Governor Ueda?
Yes, we also carry out many simulation exercises about scenarios, but we have not, as far as I know, published them. We do discuss in our quarterly reports qualitatively what risks we have in mind. On top of that, I would say, in a very rough way, we are carrying out something like a risk management approach to monetary policy making, which is probably a bit similar to what Christine was talking about yesterday. I can't come up with a good example, but so risk scenarios, thinkings about tail risks, sometimes do affect our monetary policy making.
Can I ask you all about the dollar, everyone's favorite subject? So when you tune out noise, right, of the past few months, what has really changed about the dollar? Governor Rhee, are we really seeing some sort of paradigm shift in the status as a reserve currency that means historians will look back on 2025 as some sort of pivotal year?
I don't think so, especially in case of Korea. Our Korean won has appreciated significantly in the last 2 months. But I think it's mostly due to the very unique situation that we had. We had a very unexpected, unnecessary martial law declaration in last December. And after that, this political risk, together with the slowdown of our economy, really make Korean won depreciate much more than our fundamentals explain. So in some sense, the appreciation that we have observed in the last 2 months, in some sense, normalization of our currencies. And as for the kind of long-term shift of the dollar sentiment, we have discussions, but looks like people are talking about it. But at this moment, they keep the dollar assets while they're increasing the hedge ratios. So at this moment, I think the lion's share of the impact, BIS report show this one is impact is mostly moving from the unhedged to the hedged positions. So we have to see what will happen in the future.
Yeah, Governor Bailey?
Well, I'd say two things. First of all, I think that it's important to bear in mind what the definition of a reserve currency is, and how it's evolved over many years. So I like John Ray. I don't see there being a sort of a major shift at the moment. Not least because in this day and age, the definition of a reserve currency has as much to do with the supply of safe assets into the market that can be used for all the purposes of sort of collateral and security that they are, as much as it is about a sort of pure exchange rate. So I think we're a long way off that change happening. The second thing is going back to something Christine was saying earlier. I mean, when we look at financial conditions, which we do, of course, but I do think particularly, I always believe this, but I think it's even more relevant at the moment to unpack a financial conditions index. And the reason I say that is because we've seen a breakdown in the correlations of the components of a financial conditions index. So you look at sort of bond yields, you look at exchange rates, you look at equity risk premium, for instance. Those correlations are not the ones that we've tended to see established over time. So you have to look at it much more carefully.
It's been what we've been hearing the last couple of days.
There are stories, to my mind, about each of the components of that. So when I look at the exchange rate, I look at it very much on that basis. I don't think it's sensible to sort of pack it all up as we normally would and say it's all behaving normally, because the correlations are not actually.
Governor Ueda, there's also many colleagues at central banks, I guess, around the world are building up gold reserves. Is that the only real alternative to the dollar?
I think it's up to a certain extent what areas like Europe or China would do in terms of improving the efficiency or convenience of their currencies, like the kinds of things we were discussing this morning, capital markets integration, and these things will change the degree to which the role of the dollar may decline in the future.
Madame Lagarde?
You know, I think, I don't know if 2025 will be a pivotal year. I would tend to think that, yes, it might very well
gold
be.
is running too.
But for a major change to occur will take a lot of time and will require a lot of effort. And I completely agree with the points made by Andrew about the
Hyatt on the
dichotomy that
high
we're
and then
seeing
EVA on
at
the
moment.
low.
And that might be an indication of
Couple
the
things.
fact that investors
Traders
are
pair
looking
Fed
at
rate
options.
cuts.
This is what
AEVA down 20.
investors are saying. They ask
Hyatt's up
questions,
3.
they seek alternatives, and whether that translates
travel,
into
bro.
a general lack of confidence that will
Then
be
there's
further
Wynn.
fueled by more uncertainty, more unpredictability, a bit of a
Caesars.
jump in the unknown on several fronts, not just monetary policy, not just even the economics, but beyond that, in terms of security at large, for instance, I think remains to be seen. It's not going to happen just like that overnight. It never did historically. There is no reason it should now, but there is clearly something that has been broken, and whether it is fixable or whether it is going to continue to be broken, I think the jury is out on that front.
And Chair Powell, how do you think we'll look back on 2025?
So you're asking me how we're going to look back on 2025.
Yeah, how will historians look
CMG.
back
You got
on
a
this
couple
year? Is it
restaurants
pivotal?
that got downgraded, but yeah.
It's
Casino
clearly
news is China.
an important year. There's
There was
there's
China
a lot going on, with trade.
Macau activity
and,
that was like up
I think
19%.
I'm hopeful that
It's
we'll look
fired.
back on it as a year where we successfully challenged some significant economic changes, and our job is to make sure that is the case.
You get attacked by the president a lot on a personal basis. Does it make your job harder?
Does it make you
I'm
sad?
very focused on just doing my job. I mean, there
It
are
does
things
make
that
his job
the things
harder.
that
He
matter
lied on the
are
stand.
using our tools to
That is
achieve
so
the goals
weird.
that Congress has given
He
us.
lied
maximum
about a
employment,
renovation for
price
no
stability,
reason.
financial stability.
Why
That's-
would you
that's what
lie
we
about
focus
a
on,
renovation?
100%.
You see what I'm saying? If you're willing to lie about a renovation, what the fuck are you saying about the economy?
Madame Lagarde, if you were in the same position
on
as
the
Chair
high,
Powell, would you do
UNH about to go
anything differently?
320.
I think I speak for myself, but I speak for all colleagues on the panel. I think we would do exactly the same thing as our colleague Jay Powell does. The same thing. Yeah.
No, you wouldn't. You're all
right?
cutting rates. You fucking liars. We would all be doing the same thing as Jerome Powell. That's why we all did the opposite. After following him for 4.5 years. To the T. Now we do
Governor
the
Bailey,
opposite.
is
He
the
would
rest
do
of the world
same.
decoupling from America but pulling tighter elsewhere? How do you see fragmentation happening?
Well, fragmentation, were it to happen, in my view, is bad for activity in the world economy. No question about that. I mean, if we reduce the openness of the world economy, that will be bad for activity in the world economy. Now, I temper that in one respect, because obviously we have learnt a lot about the robustness of supply chains over the last 5 years, and it is of course appropriate that there will be adjustments to that. But if we see a breakdown of the openness of the world economy sort of beyond that sort of resilience that we do see as needed, then that's bad for activity, it's bad for the world economy, and that I'm afraid is something that I think we need to be very clear. I've said a number of times, look, there are reasons why this is happening. It's not right to just go around saying, this is all wrong, there are no reasons why this is happening. What I think is very important is that we get back to a governance of the world economy where we can address these issues in the appropriate multilateral fora, and get to the question of what lies behind these issues, what's at the root of these issues, what exactly are the issues, and what do we do about them. And I can't emphasize this enough, that I think it's an obligation for all of us who are obviously very heavily involved in the governance of the world economy. We've all got very big responsibilities, to say that is our duty, to get back and to the process of saying, what's caused this and what do we do about it, and what do we deduce are the underlying issues and how do we address them? Because otherwise, say fragmenting the world economy is a bad outcome.
But what kind of fragmentation would it be? Is it again, are you fearful that the world is splintering irrevocably, or is there a pool that's just moving?
Well, I think if it was a breakdown of trade in the world economy, obviously exactly how that would manifest itself would remain to be seen. But it would be running against a long period now where we've been building the resilience of trade in the world economy. We've been building openness. But as I said, I want to sort of temper that by saying, look, there are issues. I don't think we should say there are no issues. This is all made up. There are issues, and we need to address what they are and work them out. But we need to do that in the context of a commitment to a robust, open world economy.
Governor Rhee, as the only governor here representing a non-reserve currency country, how concerned are you about fragmentation of the global financial system and the risk at the end of the day that the US may be less willing to provide dollar liquidity in a future financial shock?
No. But I think I mentioned that we are quite vulnerable to the fragmentation. But in reality, as a small country, it's a pity that we can raise our voice, but in reality, we cannot change the course. So we have to probably take it as an environment and to adapt to it. What matters is we talk about economic fragmentation, but for a country like us, the most serious issue is combined with security. And for that issue, let me stop here because I don't want to go further. But as for the dollar liquidity support, as demonstrated during the global financial crisis and pandemic period, the standing dollar swap lines with 5 international financial centers and the 9 ad hoc temporary swap lines for the 9 non-reserve currencies, that was crucial in restoring the stability in the global world. And if another global dollar shortage hits, I believe that the U.S. Fed will extend their swap lines again, which is very important. And but one other problem for a country like us is we know that the U.S. provide ad hoc swap lines as long as there is a global dollar shortage. But issue is what happens if there is our own problem and there is no global dollar shortage. Our understanding is that Fed cannot extend the swap lines in that case, and we have to self-defense ourselves. That is why I think having a adequate, sufficient level of reserves is very important. And recently, thanks to the introduction of the FEMA repo facility by the Fed, actually these reserves become much more effective tool to defend ourselves.
Jay Powell, on fragmentation?
Well, I guess I'll just agree with what Chang Yang said, which is, or point out that
right, you got Bitcoin now moving, no headline.
We still have
again, you just had the data. Actually, it's really running.
In situations where it's within our legal authorities
currency,
and where we
see
think
if you
it
get a
makes
Truth
sense.
Social.
So that is, we know,
like
we're aware that that's
look at the
a
high
big
ticker.
contribution that we
Like
can
I said, the
do
Mag
and
7
we'll
effect
continue
is
to
fucking
make
with
to
the index,
global
but
financial stability.
you got a lot of activity
how
in
much
30
do you think
seconds,
about
1 minute.
fragmentation and the impact this could have on Japan?
See, on the trade side, I think a lot about what will happen to Asia, even Asia excluding China. So this will depend on the relative tariff rates imposed on the region relative to China or relative to other countries. But there's a fairly strong intra-regional trade taking place during the last decade or two.
DEC is another one that's
Also,
related to
there's,
Lulu and Nike.
New countries like India growing at very high speed. So I hope there's a sufficiently resilient domestic demand in the region to
Estee Lauder.
keep the energy of the region alive. On the financial side, I don't have much to add to what other people have said, but it would be important to keep trying a multi-layered approach to things like swap lines. We have Chiang Mai initiatives in Asia. Doing something similar or continue to do something similar would be important.
Madame Lagarde, you've often spoken about the role that Europe could take in a fragmented world. How do you see that developing in what kind of time frame?
Not enough time. It's crazy, bro.
Well, I
January
think,
is 6
you know,
months
Europe
now.
has witnessed in
realize
the
that?
last 4 years,
So keep
in
that in
particular,
mind
well,
for any
since
place you're shopping
2022 in
Yeah,
particular, the
regionals
last 3
going up,
years,
now Amazon, now
major
Estee Lauder.
challenges to its-
High
to
tickers
its
playing
way of doing
along a lot
business,
more.
to
SPY's
the
going green
assumptions
now
that it has
too.
made
So
about
NASDAQ and
security,
Russell will be
about
the only ones
supply,
lagging
about,
behind. Dow's already leading.
destination. Whether you look at what the horrible Russian invasion of Ukraine has precipitated, and how that has impaired
I don't know if that's
the
the
sentiment
reason
of
why we're
security
running,
that we in Europe
but
had,
it could be.
and the sentiment
but
that
for the
we
most
could,
part, I think it's just kind of
forever
general
rely
vibes.
on the protection of others.
But that bill
has been
passage
impaired
could be some of
significantly.
it.
When you look at the energy supply on which
Ethereum
some
will
of the
make
European
BM in
countries
our
in
run.
particular,
That's
but
an
most of
Ethereum
us
fund.
have relied
yeah,
upon,
theoretically,
namely
crypto
access
good
to
should benefit
reasonably
it
cheap oil and
until it
gas
doesn't.
supply from
Think
Russia.
about
That has been
MSTR.
impaired significantly, and we had to find the resources to respond to that. And whether you look at the business model of some countries where destination was inevitably China in the main, that has already been challenged as a result of the fragmentation that is not just a risk, but which has happened. If you combine that with the technology risk that we could all be under, either because of political determination or because of shortage of supply, whether it's on the front of microchips or rare earth, I think we are in a situation where many of the assumptions have been shaken up and where we collectively are on the cusp of, I hope, this is my hope, of
What's your hope?
you know,
That we
better
all owe nothing?
taking hold and control of our destiny by making significant structural
Whose
efforts
destiny?
to you know, be more independent, be more productive, be more autonomous in all these different dimensions. Is it going to happen overnight? Yet again, no. Because on some of those fronts, it takes time, it takes investment, it takes political determination, it takes momentum.
I'm mad at Nike.
And you know, from a pure
Dude, I'm mad at
sort
all of this. I have to redo
as
my
president
whole
of the
calculation
ECB, what
for
we
the
can
crib.
do on the monetary front
'Cause I
is to
thought I
deliver
had
on
X
our
amount
mandate
of
of
losses,
providing
and now
price
I don't.
stability so that
Okay, now you
the
got
fluidity
Merck
of
and
factors that
UPS.
is needed, both in terms
Hold on,
of
a
capital,
couple
in
more
terms of
value
labor,
plays are going
can
up.
rest assured
You're in
that
melt-up
price
mode, and
stability
again,
will
these
be
plays related to
within our
China.
remit,
Not only just like the
under
casino, but
strict
like the clothing and
commitment
shit
to
like that.
deliver
They're all
on
going
our
up.
target of 2% medium term. But yes, I think it's a historically. I believe that in a few years' time we will look
so
at
now I don't
25,
have like I had a
of
couple
those
grand of losses
latest 3 years
that have
as
just been wiped away though.
significant change
But now that changes
in the
my
way in
tax
which
stuff.
we conduct our life,
So,
our business, and
bittersweet,
develop
but-
Europe. And I hope for the better.
It's good that we're gonna
Joe
walk away
Powell,
with
last
more,
year in
but
Sintra,
like,
you said
literally,
that
we're
the
gonna pay more
U.S.
in taxes.
cannot run these kind of deficits in good economic times for very long.
Well, still
and
snap,
then
we
you
got
also said we'll
losses
have
on
to
that,
do better
thank God,
sooner,
but
something sooner
yeah,
or
you
later,
got
and
back
sooner
some
will
of
be
it
better
today.
than later.
All
How's
of
it
them,
going?
It's nuts.
So, of course, I probably preface that by saying that we don't comment on fiscal policy. That is the one thing that I have said, and my predecessors have also said, and that is the U.S. federal, fiscal path is not a sustainable one. The level of the debt is sustainable, but the path is not, and we need to address that.
Atlanta
sooner
on
or
the
later.
low, that
Sooner
was
is better than later.
interesting.
That's what I said
Could
last
just
year.
be
There's not a lot more I can say.
momentum moves, but
Is-
again,
for
you're
everyone
broadening
else,
out
how
right
much of
now.
a problem
So
for the
everything's
world
red. There's a
are
lot of room to
America's
broaden
public
out, but you
finances?
are
Gonna
spreading
re-
out. All right, Dow Jones, you got 22 names green, 8 in the Dow. Like I've been saying here, Dow is a pretty obvious leader. And then NASDAQ, 57 green, 44 in the red. And then S&P 500, you have 300 green, 200 in the red. So, like I'm saying, that Mag 7 effect, but like right after here, we're broadening out a little bit. So, I'll call
Governor,
them out.
you
but
weighed on.
yeah,
You
You're
spoke 2
moving-
years ago at this ECB conference.
Still red,
it was
though,
your
on
first
SPY
public
NASDAQ.
appearance overseas after taking the current role in April 2023, and you talked about your surprise with the tight schedule of a central governor. Are you getting used to the schedule? Is it ramping up? Is it even more than when you started?
It's still very tight.
Is it tighter than before? How are you finding yourself after more than 2 years in the job?
It's as tight as 2 years ago.
So it hasn't changed.
Getting used to it a little bit, yes.
Governor, what's your biggest task for the rest of your term until 2028?
Well, as I was saying at the outset, headline inflation is above 2. Underlying inflation is below 2. I want both to converge to 2% by the time I leave my office.
I think you were also asked what keeps you awake at night in Washington in October, and you talked about the pace of rate hikes as one thing. Is it still the same, or do you have other things that you're worrying about?
Let's see. I didn't sleep well last night. There's a reason for this. Governor Yi was sitting next to me during dinner, And he told me that espresso contains less caffeine than coffee. So I immediately had a cup of espresso.
I meant the total amount of caffeine rather than caffeine per ounce. Okay.
Anyway, this is a joke, but during these international meetings, I
don't see it yet, but it is a 50 cent Jumia.
A lot of useful insights.
It's halted, yeah.
So
that might be legit.
I think
it's
about
already
those
halted on the wire.
And,
Jumia, you don't even see
myself,
it print.
Maybe I should adjust our economic outlook, our policy strategy in response to these nice comments. And these keep me sometimes awake. But
Jumia, Jmia.
I think to do
SPY's coming down now, but then that one's halted.
The trust in ourselves.
You and H from the morning, you guys called that one out. It was at 300, 312.
Among central bankers.
And then SPY, 320 now is a big level for you and H.
The
I
uncertainties
think 328 is where you need to get above. No, 320.
First of all, I
and then 323, then 340.
Because it did happen on occasions that the following day, after probably a difficult night, you came to see me
and SPY tweaking,
really
and then you got
say
some
that
Russian oil
yesterday during the meeting, and I knew that you had been sort of ruminating and pondered what the consequences were. So it's the truth. It's not a joke. Yeah. What keeps me awake? The truth. By that I mean I'm getting more and more concerned about the role that artificial intelligence is going to play, about how distorted things can be presented, how public opinion can be manipulated, and having been a lawyer by background, where searching for the truth is one of the purposes
Mexican
that we
Shine
hold
Bar
as
discussions
auxiliary of
with U.S.
justice.
on exports to continue.
I'm very concerned by what's happening at the moment and what kind of
more medical
moral
plays and other values going up.
The watchdog of the
SPY,
integrity of
so I
data,
think
because we keep saying that we are data dependent, and we are, and we want to see
NVIDIA and a few others. So you got the value names broadening out, going up, and then you got a big tech drag right now.
Our assessment and the analysis anchored in empirical data and understanding of what's happening in the reality of the economy. And I do have this fear that
some of the defense names
things can be distorted, and that we can fall prey to that, because it's incredibly easy.
Again, do you guys see this? All of the value is getting a bit right now.
That is of great concern to me. I mean, I sleep at night, but.
Jerome Powell?
So,
and I think it is defense, honestly.
I have a little more than 10 months left on my term as chair. And all I want, and all anybody at the Fed wants, is to deliver an economy that has, price stability, maximum employment, financial stability. And what keeps me awake at night is how do we get that done? I want to hand over to my successor an economy in good shape. And so do all of my colleagues. That's all we ever want. So that's what keeps me awake at night is are we on a path to do that, and how do we get that done?
Do you plan to stay on as Fed governor after your chair term expires?
I have nothing for you on that today.
Governor Rhee, what keeps you up at night?
First, my apology to Ueda-san, but to me...
Scores on the espresso will be settled.
One concern that I have is unique to our problem is a perception gap of the public due to very rapid structural changes. For example, a decade ago, our potential growth rate is around 3%, but now it's well below 2%. But people still think that we have to grow above 3% in normal times.
Again, value,
and that actually expedites
so let
their
defense,
demand
let
for
a couple NVIDIA, but anything that was like beaten down the last couple of weeks,
while what
it's
is
not momentum,
structural
it's like
reform.
value.
But on the other hand, if I keep on talking about
like
structural reform,
clothing and retailers,
I don't know how
all
far
that shit.
I can go on discussing this structural issue, because some people say that it's well above my mandate. But I think what is important for our country is not only the cyclical issue, but this how to adapt to these structural changes, and that is a very difficult challenge.
Governor Bailey?
Well, I want to deliver inflation sustainably at target. As I keep saying to my colleagues, can you please stop thinking of all the shocks that we haven't had yet in my term that we might have. But today's, maybe I've been sleeping too well because I felt I needed something else to do, because today's a significant day because it's my first day as chair of the Financial Stability Board after taking over from Klaus's enormously distinguished leadership. And so that gives me a whole load of other vulnerabilities to think about and worry about when I haven't got anything else to do. But seriously, there obviously are issues in the financial system that we're very focused on and will be very focused on in terms of understanding the vulnerabilities of the situation we're in.
Governor Rhee, I also wanted to ask you actually about digital currencies, because the Bank of Korea put brakes on testing a central bank digital currency this week. Would you agree that it's more of a priority to find, I guess, the right regulation for the immediate challenge of stable coins than to develop a CBDC that no one may use?
That's a hot topic now in Korea. Surging in the dollar-denominated stable coins, especially recent passage of the Genius Act in the United States, make many fintech companies and the advocates of the stable coins to ask the government to allow the non-bank institutions to participate, to issue the Korean won-denominated stable coins. As you mentioned, that we have been experimenting the tokenized deposit pilots with a commercial bank in our permission network. But I think that given the surging demand for allowing non-bank financial institutions to issue stablecoins in public domain, make us a little bit, I have to talk with the government agencies because it's well beyond the Bank of Korea's mandate. From our perspective, what we are worrying about is that if we allow the unregulated won-denominated stablecoin, it will definitely expedite the exchange into dollar-denominated coins and undermine our
The Jumia thing is weird. I don't know if it's foreign
we don't
or
know
not.
whether the
I can't. They say Axiom Capital, but I can't confirm it.
Identify the irregular transactions.
I don't know. It's the weird one.
Kind of regulation very well, and then even identify the irregular, strange transaction very easily. But we're not so sure whether this is true. And also there's a narrow banking issue, many other issues. So I think I have to talk to the government authorities how to handle this kind of regulations.
Andrew Bailey?
Yeah, it's an important subject. It's one of the subjects that we will have on the agenda for the FSB, no question about that. You see, the thing that I think is...
Okay, SPY still coming down. I do think it is...
Here I distinguish them from something like
Axiom is
Bitcoin.
French. I just can't confirm the source.
They purport to have the medium
I have
of
names.
exchange,
I got info, but I just can't. I don't know if it's real or not.
And therefore, they do have to meet the test of money. And we talked a lot about this. We've talked a lot about
premiums aren't
trust
that
in
bad.
money, about the so-called singleness of money, which is really all about them being assured
Pepsi,
to hold their nominal
look at UPS,
value.
J&J, Whirlpool,
And for me, this is going to be
Nike,
the critical test.
Deck, Lulu, Estee Lauder, casinos.
Structure
There's a
and
lot of value
design
plays the last quarter, and now even after today, it's starting to stack up how much they've moved.
Because if they don't,
then
I don't think we can be content with them. And if they're purporting to be money but don't actually meet the test of money.
Christine Lagarde?
I have a relatively strong view on that point, if you don't mind, because I think that we are falling prey to some confusion between money, means of payment, and payment infrastructure. And that is accelerated or emphasized as a result of the technology that are being used and some technologies in particular.
Starting off the month, the value bit is there. It has to hold up, but again, I think it really reminds me at the beginning of the year. So it's only been one day, but some of them already had a gain. That's what I'm saying. It's like stacking up, but just if this continues, maybe the staples do break out. But it's clear today that they are moving alongside some other ones, and then you get the Mag 7 effect.
To do the job that we have.
I was just telling you, I was like, I'm not mad, and anything I'd want to buy is still low. Now they're starting to move.
I think it risks undermining our capacity to conduct monetary policy, and I think it's risk weakening the sovereignty of those countries or those regions which inadvertently become subject of the use of that means of payment infrastructure / alleged money, and we should not only just consider it, but determine what our policy should be about it, if we mean what we say and we protect what we have to protect. Thank you.
Chair Powell, I actually have a question. Do you fully support the recent proposal driven by the Vice Chair
there was a guy telling you how narrow the rally was
on rolling back capital rules? Would that actually meaningfully improve liquidity in the Treasury market?
I do fully support what we, in fact, voted for, what we put out for comment, which is sort of putting the leverage ratio back where it should be, which is a backstop to risk-based capital. And so yes to that question. On stable coins, if I can.
Yeah.
I do share the concerns that you hear here, but I also think it's a positive step.
You could have got Whirlpool and Pepsi a month and a half later.
We don't have a regulatory framework
so even
for
if you
these
miss
now in the United
Liberation
States.
Day,
We tried very hard in the last Congress to work with
Pepsi,
I
still think
people on both sides of the aisle
to
create such a thing. Now it looks like we're
well
on the way to
10%
creating
dividend
a
and a
framework, which I think
20% gain on
is
equity.
something we need. If we're going to have stable coins, and apparently we are, we need
SPY
to have
is moving
a
pretty big, but like I'm saying,
regulatory
I think your pullbacks are just like big tech moving, and then everything else is stacking value.
And so, many of you have plenty of time left in office. Others will leave sooner. Knowing what you know today, Governor Ueda, if you already had to offer some advice to your successor, whoever that may be, what would it be?
I don't know.
He didn't even sound Japanese there.
If I finish in, I finish in 2.5 years or so.
Tough question, bro. He said,
I
don't know. His accent went away and everything. What the fuck?
But I will not have finished
okay, now he's back. Now
reducing our balance
shit, that's a good question, man.
So I would say to my successor, take great care in proceeding with further reduction of the balance sheet, size of the balance sheet.
I like that. Christine Lagarde?
I don't think I would say anything because
I
remember my predecessor telling me that it would be a walk in the park.
Dog, he turned into Christine Lagarde. I don't know what the fuck just happened.
So I'd say nothing. But I would share the ambition of Jay Powell. I would want to hand over, job as well done as possible.
You guys have to gas up Jay
results,
Powell because he's destroyed his legacy trying to defend
quickly,
your bullshit.
we're trying to deliver
got him to lie on the stand, bro.
Macro stability, financial stability,
I still love you,
economic
Jerome.
stability for the benefit of
saying, you hanging around bad friends, Jerome. Okay? You see what they're doing to you, Jerome? They're gassing you up and getting you to do bad decisions.
You don't take sides.
Of course they're inviting you to the parties. They're getting you to buy the alcohol. You're the one who's going to get in trouble, pal. It's your legacy. Not Christine Lagarde.
Really, we're trying to have it be so that the public lives their best economic lives, and so elected policymakers can make the really important decisions in a stable environment. And so that's how I think about it.
He's hanging out with bad friends, bro.
Governor Rhee?
I can say something, but I don't know whether my successor will take it seriously. But given that I mentioned structural issues, I hope that the Bank of Korea continue to raise voice outside of just monetary policy.
Again, and more value, and now a little bit of financials.
And Governor Bailey?
Be humble. So we're exercising real power. Many people think we're not humble.
Please.
Be humble.
Define it. Doubt your efforts,
I'll say this, if you want an illustration of this. Christine and I were both in Ukraine the week before last. If we think we have it difficult, spend time with the Central Bank of Ukraine. Nothing.
Yeah. Thank you so much to everyone for a wonderful panel. Thank you.
Thank you, Madame.
Add an hour. See you soon.
Thank you to Francine and to all of our panelists for doing such an excellent job of bringing today's first day of Sintra to a fitting end. For those of you in the room, just 2 pieces of housekeeping. We'd like you all to vote on the Young Economist competition. To do so, please go outside into the foyer. There's QR codes on the posters. Click on them and then use the code on your badges to choose your favorite entry. And then please come and join us downstairs for the group photo too. And for those of you watching online, thanks a lot for joining us, and please join us again tomorrow morning for day 2 of Sintra.
All right, well, that is all you get of the Fed, my friends. I hope you enjoyed it. AstraZeneca, that's 2.5%. Yeah, it could be AstraZeneca moving to United States. Boom. All right, I had that up there. I was actually looking at another play, and I saw that. But yeah, AZN, 2% pop. Yeah, Jumia, I'm going to put out I'm not going to take it, but I'm going to put out a play to watch on that because it's lagging. Well, watch NVO, and again, anything related to value. That's what you got to be careful for. Did I not?
Apple shares jumping yesterday on reports that the iPhone maker.
CNBC, YouTube. This is what they do to you guys too. They kick you out and then throw you to the propaganda. All right, but yeah, a lot of value going up. A couple of your bigger momentum plays in tech is coming down, so you're getting a nice little pull apart here. Again, Nvidia is down 3%, so just imagine how everything else is moving. Yeah, NVO did wake up right there. But you're getting a couple UPS, Pepsi, I was just telling you before, but I do think your big tech is, that's what's keeping the SPY right here at break even. Meanwhile, the Dow is killing it, but then again, the Russell is down too. So yeah, Meta and Nvidia now. Meanwhile, you got a couple of other random names, Domino's, HD, UPS, they're just melting up. So I think value broadening out. We were just talking about how narrow this rally was. I think today you're getting a little bit of broadening out, and welcome to July. So, we've been here for an hour. I do think the volume is pretty decent. Yeah, 15 million for hour one is not bad at all. Constellation on the high. So, again, anything value related is going up. Or if they haven't had a gain in a while, what the hell is that? ES, Eversource, there's something else printed in there. So, look, there's a lot of names on the high ticker, but you're going down because it's NVIDIA and Meta. So, yeah, take that how you please. This reminds me of the beginning of the year. Yeah, look, XLP, Staples, 1.2 after not really doing much. So, yeah, this is their day for now. Narrow. Well, narrow doesn't necessarily mean it's a weak rally. It just means it's vulnerable. You know, it's all on there. Yeah, AstraZeneca has discussed moving listings to U.S. times. That's coming in. So that's why AZN had the 2% pop. Look at Staples. I think that describes the whole story. And then again, AZN 2.5 off of that headline. Target's now coming up. Dow is the only one in the green. And then SPY barely above open. So take that how you will. And then this is what I wanted to show you guys, because I keep saying it. And I think this is what I think the pressure on Jerome Powell is about to ramp up. So if you thought that Donald Trump was, you know, going hard on Powell, you haven't seen anything yet. Why? Because Powell made a mistake, like an objective mistake that now I think can be used against him. So here it is. So remember the other day I was telling you about a renovation on the Fed, and I was showing you, and I was making the joke because I looked at the big beautiful bill, and I was like, damn, they're spending more money to renovate the Fed than to renovate all of the barracks for the Marines. I thought that was pretty funny and sad at the same time. You guys remember I said that? Well, some people didn't like it in many other ways, and they were like, no, that's fake news. And they're like, that's fake news. No, Powell is not spending it. And then actually, Powell in the Congress, when we were just listening to him, somebody asked him the question. So somebody asked Jerome Powell, and they're like, wait a minute. Well, are you spending this renovation? So let me see if I could get you the quote. I'm going to show you the clip. Hold on, I got to get through the ad. But long story short, Tim Scott asked him the question. And then Jerome Powell's answer, he said there's no VIP dining room, no marble, no special elevators, no water features, no beehives, and no rooftop gardens. So Powell is kind of making it sound like everybody's being dramatic and it was fake, right? Well, if you actually go, the plans in the government filings from 2021, they have not been altered. There's even a rendering of the image, but it actually has private dining rooms, private elevators that discharge at the dining suite level. There is a vegetated rooftop terrace and urban wildlife and pollinators, as well as new marble and water features. These are part of the government documents. So, yeah, he literally, I mean, whether he may have thought it wasn't something big, but like literally on paper, everything he denied is on the plans in paper. And one of the people said it, one of the congressional people, they were just like, this highlights Jerome Powell's like, don't bother me attitude, you know, kind of like that. Yeah, whatever. No, we're not doing that. But yeah, like sadly, he did lie in front of Congress. And it's weird because you don't have to lie about the renovation. That's, you know, people made jokes. People like myself, you know, we will call out that you're spending that much money, and you know, it just looks a certain way. But to lie about that under oath is very odd. Yeah. So here we are. All right, well, spy coming down. So that's why I'm like, yeah, I think Donald Trump's going to use that, because now you couldn't fire Powell before, but now you legitimately have a documented, objective Powell lying on the stand. So now it's, now that little argument just changed because I don't know why he took it upon himself to just lie about his fucking renovations. I don't know. It's very, very weird. Let me see if I can find you the clip. Let me see. Yeah, is this it? Yeah, Fed Chair Powell calls out Scott for highlighting. So look, they haven't edited this one yet. All right, let me get through the ad, but there's old articles from like a week ago when it happened defending Powell. That's what I'm saying. It's crazy. Oh, come on. I can't play it. I have the clip, but it's not. Oh, I have the clip.
Calibrated so banks are not forced to park capital on the sidelines, limiting access
so this
to
is
capital
the question
for
from a week
small
ago.
businesses. I was pleased to see that the Fed is looking to reform the supplementary leverage ratio. The SLR is supposed to act as a backstop to risk-based capital requirements, but too often the SLR acts as a binding requirement for U.S. banks. Would you agree that adjusting the SLR would free up capital for banks to invest more in treasury markets and other low-risk assets? Bowman recently acknowledged that regulators tend to review individual elements of the capital framework in isolation. With her assessment, and how are you looking at the capital framework holistically to ensure that the Fed is not?
I'm pretty confident we'll move on both of those in the relatively near future. And they fit together. As we discussed, the leverage ratio was always supposed to be.
I hope a reintroduction of Basel III, if you're thinking about it was about right. What do you forecast?
Well, we very much look forward to working with our colleagues at the OCC and the FDIC on Basel III and Gambley well above Basel.
Just giving us an opportunity to go back to the spending at the Fed for the construction.
Yeah,
and
here.
You said that
this is it. This is him lying under
items
oath.
that were listed are not happening. I will say that the National Capital Planning Commission website, ncpc.gov, anyone can take a look at it for themselves.
Yeah,
not just looking or listening to the New York Post, not just the Wall Street Journal, but page 129 of the final plans reflected rooftop garden terraces. The page 127 and 129 were where we found the ornate water features and final plans. The new elevators that dropped board members off at the VIP dining suite was page 37 of the final plans. The white marble was pages 40, 41, 65 of the final plans. I would welcome your staff coming in to walk my staff through what is happening there, as opposed to what we not have only read in the New York Post, not only in the Wall Street Journal, but also at the National Capital Planning Commission's website. So we would welcome that opportunity to have a.
Can I just quickly say, some of those are just flatly misleading. The idea of elevators, it's the same elevator. It's been there since the building was built. So that's a mischaracterization. And some of those are no longer in the plans. That's
a lie.
Earlier, the plans have continued to evolve.
And one of the questions I asked my staff before having the conversation with you in preparation,
very weird,
and assuming that your response would be to refute some of the things that were happening, was to ask the question,
okay,
well,
SPY
since
new
the
low.
articles came out in April, have the plans changed since April as a result of the media attention to it, or was that just never in the plan? I would just say that having a clear understanding of what's going to be and when it changes.
Meanwhile, equal weight's climbing, so you guys know the vibe right now. You're not really going down, you're broadening out.
Here is incredibly important, and I would give you the opportunity to bring your team in and or send your team over so that we can have that conversation. That would be helpful.
Look forward to doing that. And if you'll allow me to say one more sentence, none of those things are really worth.
So that's how they're going so fast.
Come on, yeah, but that was it. It doesn't seem like much, but yeah, it's very odd. I don't know what the reason is. It's so weird. Why was like Powell? That's why some are just like, oh, it's just Powell's attitude, and he has that approach. But it's just very weird because I get how he wants to, you don't want the Fed to look like they're wasting money and acting a certain way, but like legitimately, just those are in the plans. And none of it has changed. And he was like, yeah, well, but it's not, it's different, and it's this, but it's like, no, none of that. It's all the same. And this was all approved under Biden. This is all 2021 plans, spending, renovations, all of it. So I think Powell got a nice little Fed going on, but I think he should have just said what it is and said that y'all approved it. But I don't know why he was so defensive about it. And now it just looks weird. Yeah, maybe he was unaware, but that's why they're kind of like, well, it's kind of your responsibility. Or if he didn't know much about it, you shouldn't say it's not true when it is true. He should have just said, I don't know. And then he could have said, maybe we'll look back at it. That's what you do when you're under oath and you don't know. But he said, no, it's a lie. It's not there. He said that is misleading. But in fact, it was actually very accurate. Literally, Tim Scott was just reading from the website. He was just reading the plans, and those are the plans. No revisions have been made since 2021. This has been a plan for the last 5 years. Yeah, he should have said data dependent. That would have got him more cover. Intel's going up again. Like I said, I think you're broadening out, my friends. That meanwhile, while the SPY goes down, your equal weight is just climbing. I don't know why oil is running. No, if anything, there's actually OPEC stuff that you think makes it go down. MSTR on the low. Yeah, long-term love's widening out. Because that's it. You get your values going up, and then, that's the thing. We already have a lot of the other narrow names that got us the lift too. So I'm all for broadening out. That's what we need. That's what I was saying the other day. I'm like, man, if you got FOMO right now, you really are not looking at the market because you only have 20 names that are up. So there were still some good deals. And now some of them are up 5-10% from the last time we said that. Nothing really happened in the market. You were going through a broadening day. I mean, you did have data that caused some reactions. It was generally in line with the last couple months of data. Jerome Powell, central bankers, didn't really produce much headlines. You had some drama and updates surrounding the spending bill. But for the most part now, all of the value names are kind of going up. And a couple Mag 7 are just holding up, some going down. And then we're broadening out, advancing. But now this time, it's the other 480 names getting some of the juice. 7:50. It's early, bro. Trump is speaking now. I don't see quotes yet, but maybe. Let's see. I liked Advanced Auto Parts till they like cut the dividend and then they sold off some of their units. Yeah, Trump is live right now.
The court ruling was good because that's going to allow him to be able to exercise Article 2 the way founders intended, but you still have bureaucracy, so we want to cut through that so that we have an efficient operation between Florida and DHS to get the removal of these illegals done.
And are you still prioritizing going after the worst of the worst, or are you now arresting?
Gulf of America hat. I was wondering what that said. I was like, America?
Great government, what we've done. And nobody can ever forget that this group of people, Biden or whoever it was, Biden, whoever it was, what this group of people, a small group that circled the Resolute desk, what they did to this country. Think of it, what your time, all the time you have to waste through this. It's an unforced error. We had nothing. We had no problem with this. There was never anything.
Where? Come on, give it. Why you do this? Come on, Habibi. They just cut out. They're like, we need a delay. Yeah, they had to put the delay in. I think that's what happened. I think it was too fast.
Crossings in Texas. Is this a dream come true for you? Sure.
I was thinking about that. Like I said, it was meant more as a joke, but the more I thought of it, and they were seriously actually crocodiles. They were crocodiles from Africa. They are a step beyond. No, that was really meant as a joke, but a lot of people liked it. A lot of people think we should do it.
The Senate, it appears, is about to vote on.
I hear we're doing well, Ron. I hear we're doing well.
Are you confident this can get done by the 4th of July?
What is confident mean when you're like, when you have one vote and you have 100 people going to vote? I think so. I think it's going to be the greatest bill ever passed, even for you. It's going to have a tremendous amount of homeland security. Oh, tremendous amount. It's going to keep the border secure because, you know, we have it secure now. We need to build more wall. I built almost 600 miles of wall. We need more wall. And all of that's covered in this bill. This bill is amazing for everyone. It's an amazing bill for Florida, too. Really great.
You've heard the concerns about the Medicaid, though, Mr. President.
No, we're not going to be playing with that.
An estimated 11.8 million Americans refuse their
The
coverage.
Democrats
Are you breaking
have it
your
wrong.
promise?
Waste, fraud, and abuse. In fact, if you look at what's gone on, we've gone way back. We take care of Medicaid, we take care of Medicare. They will blow Medicare and Medicaid because they have no idea what they're doing. Just like they don't have any idea what they did on the border, they have no idea. Medicaid is in big trouble with the Democrats.
So you can promise anyone who loses their health care coverage?
I don't think Barron has it to it.
Only waste, fraud, and abuse, which is what everybody does. I'm watching it very much. Well, it's going to be a very quick celebration and a great hit. It was a obliteration. And now it turns out it wasn't. You know, they demean CNN mostly in the New York Times, fake New York Times. They demean these great soldiers. They went over there 17 hours flying, and they hit
Netflix now. Remember, this was another all-time high name from yesterday. So just look, TEM on the low, but just go look at the equal weight. You'll notice it's advancing.
Beyond obliteration. Nobody can even get down there. The tunnels are busted. Everything fell into the well. It was a total and complete obliteration, and we should celebrate these heroes. So what I'm doing is I'm bringing them on. We're bringing them to Florida or to the White House. I gave them their choice.
Mr. President, there's going to be a new bill called Make American Elections Great Again, forcing the U.S. Census Bureau to redo the census to actually get an account of how many Americans, proof of citizenship, are in our area, in our country, redistricting some of the House districts. Your thoughts on that?
Well, I'll speak for both of us. You don't like this. I know all about it. We want to bring our elections back. The election in 2020 was rigged.
And then listen, you guys, stop riling each other up. Because if I ban you, I don't think I could unban you guys anymore. Because I unbanned everybody already, and it did not look like the full list. So, yeah, if you're constantly riling people up with your liberal politics, and same too even for the Republicans, just because you're a Republican doesn't mean you could attack everybody. So y'all better figure it out. But especially some of y'all have came in every day riling people up every time Donald Trump talks. We get it. We don't like the man, but yeah, time to move on. Thank you.
Florida of at least one seat. We only got one seat in the last census. Are you trying to tell me that Florida only had one seat in that? We should have had at least two. Texas should have had another one. That could be the difference in the House of Representatives in the majority. So I would love for them to redo the census for 26. My legislature will redistrict those lines. We'll get it to where it's fair. But as it's right now, this country is not fairly apportioned. I've got so many more millions of people in Florida that have representation because of that flawed census.
I think it's going to do very well. A lot of people are it's captivating. Everybody wants it. It's going to get in. It's going to pass. And we're going to be very happy.
Elon Musk is ripping into this bill again. Are you concerned the Republicans are going to be swayed by Musk and his money?
No, I don't think so. I think what's going to happen is
Watch the Tesla.
Look at Musk, and if he always looks at
But
Musk,
no, I think it's
Thank you very much, everybody. I don't think you should be.
I think all the big tech is just rotating out. Everyone's just selling a little, buying the other shit. I don't think it's anything. Take house. Right. And yeah, bro, I mean, I still don't like the bill, though. Like I'm saying, I haven't been a fan of it. I mean, some of you are even saying, you know, like I said, I agree in the sense of I'm glad, like, money will go to normal people. I just think they could do better. And, like, I'll tell you, this morning, I figured it out. You know what this whole thing reminds me of? Like, with Donald Trump and the way he's doing it, it's so... I've seen this before. I was thinking about it because I'm like, bro, they're giving the Democrats a shit ton of money for salt. Every state is getting something. You guys realize that? So that's... like, he's bribing them all. Donald Trump is giving everybody money. Everybody is... That's why... And I was like, why? I've seen this before. I'm like, dude, why? He is just making... He is hammering home this bill. He is saying, okay, what do you want? You want salt? Here. What do you want? Here. Okay, you're going to vote here. And he's just giving everybody what they want so that they could vote this. What does this remind you of? Some of you have seen this before. Some of you haven't. I've seen this in my business life. This reminds me of something I have seen. What is it? And it makes sense with Donald Trump and his background. You've seen he's giving everybody their, not stipulation, there's a definition for it. He's giving everybody their ask. And you see this in something. It's a negotiation, but why? He's giving everybody what they want. Why? Or where do you see this? I know this is, you've seen this before, bro. That's a click this morning. I was taking a shit. And I'm like, everybody is just getting what they want. I'm like, yeah, exactly. There you go. You guys are getting close. Chad's getting closer. Someone said it. Someone said the industry. You're there. You're there. No, you've seen this before. You've seen this in a business, in an industry. No. It's not religious. This isn't Proverbs. No. Think about it. Yeah, bro. There you go. You're getting closer. You got the industry correct. It's what Donald Trump did before politics. Yep. Real estate. Dude, this reminds me of a developer. That's why I said I've seen this before, bro. This just reminds me of and it's either going to really work or really fail. And I've been saying that from day one, even before. Remember, I told you, Donald Trump, I was like, this is either going to really work or it's going to really fail. I don't know which one's going to happen. But, dude, this reminds me of a developer. No, this is what developers do when they, like, go into a place and they have to just pay off everybody to get the licenses, or they need approval, or they try to speed it up. But I'm like, because they're really betting on this project. And that's why I'm like, dude, this just reminds me of a development. Because I'm like, why are you going in? This reminds me of the developers who go in and they don't care what you want. You're like, give me $1 million for my property, they'll give it to you. They say, I need this for licensing, they'll give it to you. Anything you want, because they're just trying to smash home the timeline, and they're just trying to get licenses and construction, and they're betting on the project in the sense of they think it's going to be worth way more, or they're willing to pay the premium and they're about to get washed. So like I'm saying, I don't know. I have no idea what's happening in the sense of I don't know if this will be miserable or if it's going to be fucking the golden era, but this all reminds me of a development now. And like I'm saying, I still don't stand by the bill. I see the vision. I just think they should try again. I think they should try one more time and get a little more cynical, and then let's go through this process one more time, and I would love to see what you come out with. But if hammering home the first try, this is hella development-ish. Just go, pay them, get the houses, get the licenses, go. I don't like that. I don't like that approach. Same thing happened in Hawaii. Yeah, you'll see this in development a lot. They don't care. They'll give you whatever because they just want the land, they want the license, and they want to break ground and get it started. That's it. And that's because they either know something and they're betting they know the land is worth way more, or they're idiots and they're going in paying too much premium and it won't net out. That's why you have so many old real estate deals, that have played like that. Are you stuck holding the Redfin back? No, you could sell, I think, whenever you want, but you made money, right? I don't know when you bought it, but if you bought it where we bought it, you're walking away minimum 300, 400% on equity. So, but yeah, you do have to hold it for a little bit. You think if the bill doesn't... Well, that's the thing. It's hard for the bill not to pass when everybody's getting what they want. Do you get what I'm saying? And this is where you guys got to realize, I've been complaining about it. I've been telling you it, but I can't make that change. I don't work in government. So our job now is to protect ourselves and make sure we don't get left behind. Do you understand that? You know that? Because some of y'all hold me to a standard as if I'm the fucking politician, but I'm not. Maybe one day I will be, but at the end of the day now, our job is to protect ourselves because they don't listen to us. They're not, you know what I'm saying? We've known this is spending a lot before even Elon told you. So, and all of these things, that's why I'm like, the next step, you just got to protect yourself because, and at this point, I think they're going to pass it. Everybody is getting what they want. Like I'm saying, even you're getting what you want. Even the citizens, Trump, that's what I'm saying. Trump is giving everybody something to hammer this home. So the citizens get their tax break. You're even going to get the death tax and a couple of other things to benefit you, overtime, all of that stuff, right? But then the Democrats are getting everything they want. The Republicans are getting what they want. The border, the military, everybody's getting what they want. You see what I'm saying? So unfortunately, just this deal is probably going to go through because everybody's getting something. Everybody's getting bribed, from the citizens down to the Republicans and Democrats. Everybody has a bribe in this bill, and maybe bribe is a harsh word. And forgive me, I'm not trying to throw shade. I'm just saying, rational economics, rationality. Everybody is being offered something to receive. So do you see, why would they say no? That's all I'm saying. Why would you, half of you guys in here, you're like, all right, well, as a citizen, we can't change it. Even you're like, well, at least I get something. And that's it. That's what I'm saying. Maybe you don't like the word bribe, and I'm willing to change that. But all I'm saying is rationally, everybody is getting something. There's no reason for a Democrat to say no. There's no reason for anybody to say no if you're all getting paid. So, when it comes down to, pocketbook economics, everybody is getting what they want. So how do you, that's it. You may not like the rhetoric. You may not like, again, the transgender stuff and some of the hardline stuff that they've gone after, but money-wise and funding, support, even some of the transgender stuff is going to still be funded. That's what I'm saying. Everybody is getting money. So it's not as if they're the rhetoric sounds harsh, but dollar for dollar, everybody's getting their payout. And that's why I'm like, why wouldn't anybody take this? So I don't agree with that. I don't like that. I think they could do way better, but it just reminds me of a real estate development and they're just trying to move through. But yeah, it's very, very, it's odd and everybody is going to get something. So I don't know, but our job now is we all have to protect ourselves. We got to get we got to see where the money goes. You got to think about assets. You got to think about growing and take advantage of the tax breaks and all this stuff they're giving to citizens. You got to make sure you get it and are positioned properly. But other than that, now, like, I'm pretty sure it's going to pass because everybody's getting it, sadly. Target, again, that's part of the broadening out. Like I'm saying, if you guys notice, I should keep this up. But look, equal weight goes up while SPY goes down. Look, both times. SPY went down, equal weight went up. SPY went up, equal weight went up again. So this is all, I'm kind of, now I'm getting sad because I was telling you, bro, we're going to sell our long-term into the highs for the house. But I was like, bro, every name I'd want to buy is still cheap. But now now that's changing. So yeah, you're going up, but this is just the broadening out, you guys. So even if the SPY goes down, if equal weight stays up, I would have a smile on your face depending on how you feel about it. But point is, you're broadening out now. All the names that didn't go up and hit a high, they're catching a bid today while everyone's taking profit from the Nvidia, Netflix, Meta. Don't you got another 180 to not sell? What do you mean 180? Like 180 days? No, you may not have been here, but I am in escrow on a property right now for the cult. So, and that's why I'm doing this, so you guys could learn the lesson of how to sell properly and actually move your long-term to a property one day. So I'm in escrow. So once the deposit can't be returned, I'm going to be selling the long-term for a property. The big one. The small one we're going to be keeping. UPS on the high, SPY taking a dump. You got Trump comments. Those are the old ones. People are reiterating them. The ones we just listened to. All right. Yeah, it dropped pretty big there. So again, like I told you, watch out for the equal weight though. So look, equal weight came down a little bit. I think this is just big tech. So if equal weight goes up, listen to me right now. If equal weight goes up while this dumps, you have nothing to worry about. Do you understand? I hope you guys get that. Because look, it's climbing still. Everything's still going up right now. Don't be fooled. Do not be deceived. That's what I told you last week. That was the theme of last week. I said, do not be deceived. There's a lot of names that are still cheap. So right now, you're having big tech, maybe Google, Meta, and Nvidia come down. But like the equal weight, the high ticker, you have several other names running. So if a news headline comes in, I'll let you know. And then you could react to that. But generally, I think this is just broadening out. And if equal weight's catching a bid, I don't think you have anything to worry about. Yeah, it's Microsoft, Google, Amazon, all of those. They were up a little bit more, but... And then Nvidia, of course. But everything else is up. Yeah, UVXY is up a little bit. People might get a little bit, panicky, but if you see the reality of this isn't, like I told you, do not be deceived. I said that to you last week. This is that same thing in play. But now it's actually helping the ones that were down. Meta introduces centralized marketing campaigns, expanded AI support, and calling options for businesses using WhatsApp. What's up, Doc? Equal weight is not TLT. I just on my TD Ameritrade, when I put up this chart with the 4, instead of putting TLT in the bottom left, I've started putting up the equal weight. So SPXEW. Look, so you hit a new low, you flush, it looks like you're dying. News. No, there's nothing. And then look, equal weight hits a new high. So that's what I'm saying. The money's just coming out of the big tech, going back there. You see it. Our long term is running again. So this is how this reminds me of the beginning of the year. You remember we just kept hitting left and right, beginning of the year, long term, and then even the staple trades, it was the same setup. So it's going to stop eventually, but for now, I'm here to tell you, it's not bad. So if you think you're dumping right now and you're like, oh my God, Donald Trump, there's nothing happening. This is people buying, rotating. They're buying stock right now. They're not running away. They're taking money off of the expensive shit and then putting it back to the other. I hate this setup though, because now my losers are going up and my winners are coming down. So that just means I have to pay more taxes. I don't like this. So even though my account goes up, the rotation, I'm like, fuck. So yeah, but either way, this isn't a bad outcome. So I hope you see it. They're reacting to everything. No, they're rotating to everything else. That's why I'm saying the equal weight is going up. You don't think it's weird the SPY is dumping, knifing, and then equal weight is hitting a high? So look, just go compare these two in tandem at the same time. You can see how they're moving. So one is going up, the other one's going down. They're taking money out the bigger stuff, and they're buying, you know, for every one NVIDIA you sell, you could buy 10 other stocks. That's kind of what you're seeing today. VIX is still red. Yeah, I think if equal weight dumps with the SPY, then we have a problem. But then if equal weight keeps doing this, I just think you're rotating. It could be part of the BBB. Again, the bill signing, and then again, summer and July starting. Remember, there's a lot of good things that correlate around here. Boom. SPXEW. That's equal weight. I just said it. So SPXEW. That is the equal weight index. Go. I don't know how you put it up on E-Trade, but go to TD Ameritrade, SPXEW. That will give you the SPX equal weight. Clorox on the high. Domino's, DG, Coca-Cola, Constellation, T-Mobile, Regeneron. This is all on the high ticker right now. That's what I'm saying. It's like you're getting 5-10 names up for every little drop. HD again. DG's kind of really running, actually. And then UPS, yeah. And a lot in Unilever. Pepsi killed it too, finally. Finally. That's why I said, man, all the names, though, after today, they all kind of just woke up. Pfizer, Procter Gamble, more value, bro. So look, dude, it's terrible. Terrible. So a couple of tech names are coming down, but look, everything's going up, bro. I hate it. So it's going to confuse the fuck out of everybody. But look, you're knifing on the SPX and then hitting a new high on equal weight, dude. It's bullshit. So do you get it? I hope you guys are seeing this right now. You'll have a problem if equal weight goes down, but like I'm telling you, bro, you're inverse in both of these right now. So everybody, you're buying healthcare. Everyone's running to Dollar General. They're just dumping their NVIDIA right now. And this is how it's going to feel and look. Ta-da, run, pop. Again, solar got good shit off the bill yesterday. If you get another update, that might go again. Or First Solar did as well, too. Mm-hmm. Well, you should make up other gains. Like I'm saying, for me, it's just awkward because like we made some good money on Meta and Netflix. So like imagine my gains on those are coming down, but then I thought I was gonna write off a loss from Nike and now I'm green on it. Same thing with Whirlpool, bro. When I did my calculations, I was down 10 on Whirlpool, I was down 15 on Nike. I thought I was gonna book a loss. Now I lost profit on Meta, and now both of the losses went green. So it's bittersweet, but you should have some winners here. That's the idea. But if your portfolio is Mag 7 oriented, you're going to hate a day like today. But if you had other names in your portfolio, you're loving today because now you're getting the best of both worlds. You may lose a little bit, but then the other stuff is now looking pretty well. Today's the day you're glad you've listened buying value and not at the all-time highs. Amen. And now today's the day you regret not buying value while it was still cheap. Then we're going to play this game again. Meanwhile, I'm just house shopping. You know what I'm saying? Long term. They really out here, bro. They really out here. Amazon again, JP Morgan. I don't know how long it'll last. That's what happened. It lasted on and off for the beginning of the year, and we got some good moves, and then abruptly it'll just stop. And that's the scary part, because when it stops, you see how you feeling all hype now, you're going to get fucking your legs taken out. So that's what you got to watch out for. But that's why, again, long-term strategy will still prevail. Follow the rules. But for now, again, I think just is a weird week, you guys. That's why I don't even think this week is real. Again, you have the holiday, we have the bill and all that, and then next week. And then again, like I told you, I showed you yesterday, in the last decade, you haven't had a red July. So now this is a good sign for July. Tech was already up, and then first step, juicing up all of the stuff that could have been weak. So it could go anyway. We don't know yet, but at least you could spot the dynamic. You know, there's some people right now on Wall Street, they're thinking the market's dumping. I hope all of you realize what's going on. So just be prepared. But we'll find out. Uber on the low now. Ooh. No, that's not news. Just going down. All right, but I need to go pee. It's 8:15. We got 15 minutes. Then we got some push-ups. So God bless you. God bless the Chad. And
AI.
All right, follow me on Instagram.
2.2 times as volatile as the S&P 500. So you've got to keep an eye on that to say if the rally and the recovery is transitioning to a new phase where, you know, it's more quality or some of the cyclicals that come in. Financials have actually helped out in terms of taking up some of the slack just from the very highly levered, low quality stocks that came off the bottom.
Mike, just looking at the intraday charts today, what's going on? Because we've got the Dow's kind of at its high of the session, up 0.7%. The S&P and the Nasdaq at their low of the sessions, and you've also got the Nasdaq now down 1.3% or so.
I think it is exactly kind of what I'm talking about, which is this sort of sloppy transition from some of the things that have moved the quickest. Now, obviously, Tesla, outsized impact on the NASDAQ 100, and stuff that tends to move together is starting to weaken along with it. I do think that the JOLTS number might have kind of thrown a little bit of a wrench into the comfortable story, because two-year yields did pop on that as if, okay, maybe we're not going to get the rate cuts into a strong economy, but I don't think it's decisive. I think it's more positioning, people thinking maybe it's time for this overall market to take a pause, and the parts of the market that have not run as much, like those in the Dow.
The losers. But like,
by the way, Apple's also.
UNH. I mean, UNH has been down 40% in 3 months.
Exactly.
It's adding a lot to the Dow today. 70 points, along with Sherwin-Williams and Amgen.
First day of a new quarter. Some people feel like that's a clean slate, and you're going to look for the laggards, perhaps.
Nike, as you showed earlier, it's holding on to its gains from last week.
Well, that was another sort of loser going into the print, winner off the earnings. So now it's a loser with a catalyst, right?
Loser with a catalyst,
and all the analysts are loving it again.
Re-emerging momentum.
Correct.
We'll see, yeah.
Mike, great stuff as always. Throwback. Three of us up here. Coming up, Meta spending big on its AI ambitions, plus Apple reportedly considering using Anthropic or OpenAI to power Siri. We'll discuss big tech, big AI moves when we come back.
Perfect timing. Alrighty. So moving back up, let's see the equal weight. It might come down if the equal weight or if the market goes up, but lately, this last 30 minutes, market goes down, equal weight goes up, market goes up, equal weight goes with it. That's happened 3 times in the last 30 minutes now. So again, everything I'm telling you in real time is very accurate, and I hope you're aware of it. So yeah, that's why. You're only down a quarter. Dow is still killing it. Russell has gone green, which is great, considering the NASDAQ went down 1%. That's a big deal right there. But other than that, you guys, you see the rotation right before your eyes. Do not be deceived. And yeah, that's it. Good luck. Let's see. And then we wait. Again, we got our deal. Senate soon. Seems like he has the votes to pass the tax bill. Yeah, pay me $1 billion. I'll give you the votes too, bro. Everybody gets $1 billion. It's fucking Oprah. Should call it the big, beautiful Oprah bill. You get $1 billion. You get $1 billion. You want a submarine? Who want a submarine? We're going to do submarine giveaways today. How about it? Fuck it. You're a beginner. Well, good, man. You need 10 years minimum, brother. That's where it is. Boeing getting some volume. Again, all of the defenses have been getting squashed. Ironically enough. Been saving profits and finally have enough for the first down payment. Let's go! Age 39, starting to look at properties. Let's go, baby. Or not. Amen. It's possible, ladies and gentlemen. All starts with your belief. Don't listen to these people. They say you'll never get a house. They say the boomers. I'll screw them. You know, you just save your down payment, even if it is impossible. You go and be that way, like, well, I'm getting my down payment anyways. I don't care. Oh, yeah. Amen, bro. Good work. I love it, bro. I love it. May you be blessed. And again, don't sell the long term till you can't back out of the deal in escrow. So you still got a couple of steps to take. And, you know, don't rush it. And you let me know, bro. You're ever worried about the price, you email me. I'll let you know, bro. And that's it. But keep going. You're on the right track, baby. Amen. Amen. Dream's so big. When it comes true, you know it's God. Amen, bro. Amen. That's what I'm talking about. I love it, bro. I love it. Just, what do you think is possible? They need to know. Made it. Closing tomorrow. Good work, baby. Look at that, bro. I'm telling you, man. A lot of homeowners. And y'all doing it, bro. And I'm saying, as long as you guys are just believing it's possible and working towards it and aiming towards it. You know what I'm saying? It seems like I'm prepping for the next flood. Not at all. These are just good ideas. Dude, someone's about to give me a property for like $500,000 off. I'm taking it. I don't care if it has horses and shit. You know what I'm saying? I've had water for the last decade. Ask anybody how long. You could ask Josh. I keep silver on me, and I keep a case of Costco water on me all day, every day. I've been having gold coins and flicking gold coins for a decade, dog. You know what? These just good ideas, you know. May the Lord be with you. The Lord is with me, and He's with you. But He said, "Have no fear, dog." You think I'm having fun. I'm making some good deals, some good ideas. That's it, dog. That's it. No fear, brother. No fear. You have nothing to worry about. Airbus delivered 60 aircraft in June. That's why Boeing's coming down. And then Robinhood on the low. Yeah, bro. That's what you got to do. But yeah, so I like good ideas, but I don't think you need a plan for fear. But I do want to learn how to do certain stuff. But yeah, I think intrinsic value. The things, so think about what you just said, because a lot of people, you know, sometimes and this is where I'm scared of, because I don't want you guys to be like, I like to make fun of it too. I like to make a lot of jokes, but everything you just listed to be like, oh my God, are you afraid? They all have intrinsic value. You get what I'm saying? So like, it's like, no, I think they're good ideas. I don't think you have to be like a nut job. I don't think you have to be scared and fearful, and you don't have to over prep, you know, but like, think about all of those. They all have intrinsic value. Land, growing, food, water, you know, certain things have intrinsic value, and I like that, especially real assets like land. I'm a big fan of. That's why I always talk about real estate. So I hope that remains, and just keep that in mind, and I hope you do get an appreciation towards real assets at some point. Yeah, deck I like I told you, some of them are kind of cheap. And then Russell, that's killing it now. Dow's the leader, but Russell was matched up with NASDAQ, and then now the Russell is like up 0.5%. So look, equal weight is going insane, you guys. Equal weight's up 1% right now, while the SPY is down 1/4. So like I'm telling you, watch. It's going up with it. SPY comes down, equal weight will probably go. Maybe one of these, they'll all move in tandem. Long-term printing, baby. Keep it up. Get the land now too. That's all. I'll tell you something during Philo too. I have something funny. It's really funny. But get the land, bro. They will try to discourage you, but you better get the fucking land, Chad. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Get the long term in the land. Amen. Praise the Lord. I hope they feel me. I don't know why LMT is the only one. It started lower, but all the defense, the bids just got wiped out. But then again, a lot of defense ran. Anything that had a run, in the last month is probably down 2% right now. Meanwhile, the stocks that didn't move and were down, they're all coming up right now. Popping in, baby. Oh, let's go, baby. We'll have a good day, and I hope you guys can get that real estate shopping. That's what we're talking about in some long term. And then today is a big rotation. So don't be fooled. Do not be deceived. But you got that message last week. Trump CNN may very well be prosecuted over coverage of an immigration-related app. Or? There's a townhouse next to you, and you're gonna get what? Damn! Yo, this is crazy. I love it. Dog, I swear, like a couple of months ago, I would tell Tim to get a property, and then Tim would be like, I'm never gonna buy a house. I think he would say that verbatim, the word for word, I am never going to buy a house. Tim Whitman would say that. Holy fucking shit, bro. Let's go. Y'all don't see it. Do you see this? Strongholds are falling, Chad. You know that? Don't tell me it's not possible. Tell me anything but except for it's impossible. Amen. Amen. The market right now is just full rotation mode. So if you think it's dropping, it's not really dropping. It's really the big tech names moving around, and they're selling those to buy everything else. Farmer Tim, bro. Look at that. Wow. Wow. That's it. I will own a house. That's it. Amen. That's it. Tear down the stronghold, bro. That's it. Tear it down. Amen. Amen. All right. This one will be rentable. It should be. Usually HOAs, as long as it's like a 30-day or 12-month rental, they'll let you do that. Most people have restrictions on like shorter term rentals. There was a slow speed chase in Nashville. A lady with warrants in a stolen car drove for 4 hours on 4 flats during morning rush hour. That sounds awesome. Yeah, UNH all day, bro. Again, 330 and then 340 are the next levels. And then DEC, Lulu, RH, and then anything with value. And again, NVO, a lot of medical, but some more than others. Again, we were just talking UNH yesterday, too. All of the value, though. That's the crazy part. So I want to see, man, because I hope in a week, I hope some of them come down. But if not, if this continues for a week, then all the value will be up. Oh, man. Just passed the RE exam. Let's go, baby. Amen. I love it. I love it. Careers and ownership. Come on. What are we talking about? You know that, bro? How do you not like it? How do you not like the goodness? These are good things for good people, bro. I love it. Amen. God is good, bro. So let's go. And to many more, and I hope if this doesn't apply to you, I hope it does in the future. You know, I hope you see this, and I hope you look around, bro. Just look around. Amen. Something about fireworks? Oh, dude, do you sell fireworks for the 4th? That's dope. That's a good idea. I hope it is fruitful for you, brother. And be safe. Be safe out there. GM vehicle sales, I do see that. Up 7.3% year over year? No way. Remember you said last week, SPY's going to rise, people are going to find. I know. I didn't think it would happen that quick. And again, I was just telling y'all, do not be deceived by the value. But yeah, today was pretty big. That's why I'm saying even the fact we're up with the NASDAQ down 1%, today's pretty big. You just don't see it because NVIDIA and the other ones that went up 5 are dropping 2. Honda sales are up 8.4. Why is everybody buying cars? Is it because of tariffs? But yeah, GM and Honda sales are up. Remember, you're going to get Tesla delivery numbers tomorrow. First good day in a while. Took a few weeks to get burned. To get right, make small good decisions, baby. Amen. That's why, remember at the beginning of the year, we went on streaks, and then it'll like stop, and then it goes right back on. So you just got to play the game of stopping sometimes, and that will help you out a lot, baby. So let's get it. And shout out the long term. Dude in your city blew his hands off. Dude, I'm telling you, why do you think I said be careful? I'm telling you, like, I don't know. I think it's just an American thing, but like, we love to blow our shit up with fireworks. So be very careful if you guys are going to be engaging with any gunpowder this weekend for this holiday season. Just be very, very careful out there. Okay? Your son, finance manager at Honda, 600 units. That's amazing. But dude, these numbers up 8.4 at Honda, 7.3 at GM. I mean, these are pretty solid numbers for, the economy's all terrible and shit, but clearly not. And bonds near the low. Remember, those are green at one point. Yeah, Ford is ripping too. I'm not going to buy any rocket companies till we go through the great culling, sadly. So until motherfuckers go to space, I'm not buying them. And then by the time I start buying them, some of you are going to get offended. You're going to be like, "That, you know how many people died going to space and you're investing in it?" And I'm like, yep, exactly. So, but now too early. I'm not a fan. I'll just keep buying nicotine instead. Nicotine and healthcare while we're still on Earth. Yeah, man, long term is beautiful, bro. Y'all knew this. And we got a deposit today. You know that? So we have more cash than ever. I now have 4.8% cash. This is amazing. Oh, Honda's making reusable heavy lift rockets? All right, maybe. Because I'm down with Honda. You know what? But I've always said it. Honda, Toyota, I like their financing arms. I think there's more money in that. As weird as that may sound. Age 22 rocket. Woo! Timmy tweet talking shit to the Fed. I think the tide is turning, bro. I mean, again, I just showed you a video clip of Jerome Powell lying. Even some of you guys are like, oh, this, that. But, like, you have to realize that you shouldn't be a Fed. You can't do that. You can't be a Fed chair lying on stand. Do you understand? I love Jerome Powell, and I don't want him to get fired. I don't think he should be fired. And I do think he's made a couple mistakes. He's generally done a lot better. But like I'm telling you, that is not good for a leader to get on the stand and lie. Do you understand? It does not bode well for credibility. Because somebody like me or anybody else is going to ask, well, what else has he gone on the stand and said then that he has lied or misled about that? That's not good you can't do that. It's not a smart move. As somebody who is a lawyer and somebody who is controlling everything, he should have said, I don't know. Maybe it's incorrect, maybe it's not, but to go and vehemently deny something that is vehemently correct or objectively correct, you can't do that. That's what I'm saying. Transitory, at least it looked like a mistake. I could defend transitory for the guy. I'm not trying to hold every little thing against Powell right now. You know what I'm saying? Fuck that. Let's ignore everything. Even if Powell was Jesus himself, I'm saying he could have done everything perfect, but you can't do that. Do you see what I'm saying? That's it. There's not too many people who have video evidence of them lying on the stand. One of them should not be Fed Chair Jerome Powell. That's it. Do you get what I'm saying? That's why it's like, nah. Unfortunately, that's just not a good look at all. He should have just said, I don't know, maybe, or whatever. But to deny the exact plans and all of that when it's there on the everything, it's just not a good look. Why would you even listen? Like I'm saying, I don't think that Powell should be fired. But why the fuck would you give Donald Trump legitimate ammo? It doesn't make sense. That's why I'm like, okay, well, there you have it. Exactly. Is it the first time he lied, or is this the first time we caught him? And that is a terrible, terrible line. That Pandora's box shouldn't even be open. Yeah, literally, the last Secret Service lady did that. She resigned. Because it's weird. And then it's just not, that's just not the standard that is set. Newest tax bill draft came out 30 minutes ago. It was Jerome Powell. I played the clip earlier. Iran, I see it says, warns in phone call with EU foreign policy chief against destructive approach of several EU countries, criticizing their stance on escalation between Iran, Israel, and U.S. Cardinal Health. Wait, what's this? And then send Cora. So Cardinal Health, this you could argue is a value, but that one's dumping now. So watch now on this first drop. Like I was telling you, just wait for the moment where equal weight goes down with it. But look, if we drop and equal weight goes up, it's the same setup as an hour or two ago. So I wouldn't trip. So watch out though. Okay, Ford 2 and Philip Morris on the low. That was an outperformer. You could argue its value, but they outperformed. So even MO might be down. Yeah, think about that. Those are the ones that were like good but value but did good, they're coming down. Trump going to take care of farms and hotels. He's probably speaking on immigration. Ford and GM, again, all the auto numbers good. Remember, Tesla has auto numbers tomorrow too. Netflix new low. GM still, bro. U.S. Senate to hold Tuesday vote on Trump tax cut and spending bill. Senate Democratic source. So that's going to slow that down. Trump will be firm with Netanyahu ending war. Equal weight still up, though. So as long as this doesn't come down, you guys, unfortunately, it's rotation. Oh, wait. Trump is at a round table. He's about to go live. All right, I need to go to the bathroom. Oh, nice. You got Ross Gerber. He's on Bloomberg right now. Here, let me play it. Is this it? Yeah, I think this is it.
Robots and a robo-taxi that doesn't really work. It just seems like there's a big disconnect here, and eventually this reckoning will come as the stock market ultimately does work these things out. So, you know, I caution investors, there's going to be a cost at some time for all this, and it maybe hasn't happened yet. Even though the stock is down 25% this year, you could easily see the stock drop in half if this continues. So I'm very concerned about the future of Tesla and for my shareholders.
All right, I'll be right back.
That's why I'm at
follow me on Instagram, at the Trader Fraternity.
on behalf
Real Call
of
News on
Tesla
Twitter.
Shareholders.
And we have indeed gone to the board of directors of Tesla, and thus far we have not had a response. Ross Gerber of Gerber Kawasaki, thanks so much for joining the show today. Now coming up, General Catalyst Managing Director Mark Bragava is going to be with us. We're going to be talking AI-enabled roll-ups, the strategy that they use, how it picks sectors to target. This is Bloomberg Tech.
What does it mean to live a rich life? It means brave first leaps, tearful goodbyes, and everything in between. With over 100 years navigating market ups and downs, we'll help you move ahead with confidence.
For 100 years, bro, it's crazy. All right, Marriott. Trump concludes remarks. You're gonna hear him again. Oh shit. Trump at Alligator Ranch or Alligator Alcatraz. Oh shit. Hold, dude, there's like 3 clips. Trump is gonna be live, dude. This is the Alcatraz facility.
A shot and a half. I'll take a shot and a half.
Yeah, let's see it.
A couple of little wounds. So maybe it's not. I think we have a 10.
Do you think his wife should run for governor?
Cash on the low.
Should Casey DeSantis run for governor?
You know, the thing about it is, you know, I endorsed him immediately in January.
Yes, the illegal alligator. They locked up
one of his
the illegal alligators.
Millions of dollars. And
honestly, it's
he
terrible
saved them a lot of
because
money
when you even try to joke about it, it kind of sounds sad.
He didn't even have to do a rally in Florida, whereas 20.
I got a little sad making fun of it because you know I think people are people. You know, but at the end of the day, too, though, I do support getting get all them damn criminals. You know what I'm saying? But just because you're an illegal, I'm not viewing you the same way as a fucking murderer. Okay? But get rid of the murderers. I'm down. But alligator alley stop. See, I don't want to laugh. Okay. Hightaker again. More of your rotation.
Can we ask a Gaza follow-up question? I'm sorry, like another thing you inherited. How firm are you going to be with Netanyahu about ending the war in Gaza?
Very firm, but he wants it to. He's coming here next week. He wants to end it too. We had a tremendous success with Iran.
That's a real place? Oh,
said,
shit.
What are you going to sign? I said, sign? They are so bummed out. Did you see the report issued this morning? The place was decimated.
Such a city boy.
It'll be years before anybody.
Like, stop with your offensive alligator alley. Stop it. What do you mean alligator alley? It's not offensive.
Whatever we want from
the fucking alligator.
And I hope they want to have a good.
Like, Josh, it's a real place.
Massive sanctions.
Oh, sorry.
It's going to be very hard for them to do anything with those sanctions, and I look forward to maybe there'll be a time when we get along with them and they can rebuild that country.
But is there a point where you tell Netanyahu, like, you've got to end this?
It's honestly just a fucked up name for immigration processing facility. That's it. It's not. It's just Trump rhetoric. All it is it's a processing detention facility to speed up and hold a lot of illegal immigrants. That's all it is.
Will I do something about who it's going to be?
Yes.
I don't know. She'd be a good candidate. Anybody would be.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the 45th and 47th President of the United States, Donald J. Trump.
This is it already, I think. It's at the same place. So they were waiting for this earlier, but I think this one is live. This is at least on the White House.
Thank you very much.
Speak up, President.
You've done a fantastic
I can't hear you.
job.
Speak up.
Even the microphone works well. That's good. Wow. Well, I'd like to just thank everybody for the incredible job they've done. I love the state. As you know, Ron and I have had a really great relationship for a long time. We had a little off period for a couple of days, but it didn't last long. It didn't last long. And
I used to make fun of his high heels,
and it's
but now we're friends.
Deep in Florida, the Florida Everglades, to open America's newest migrant detention center. It's incredibly built, and you're seeing that yourself. That's why I said, let the press join us on our walk so they can see what's happening. It's known as Alligator Alcatraz, which is very appropriate because I looked outside and that's not a place I want to go hiking anytime soon. But very soon this facility will house some of the most menacing migrants, some of the most vicious people on the planet. We're surrounded by miles of treacherous swampland, and the only way out is really deportation. And a lot of these people are self-deporting back to their country where they came from. Quite a few. We're amazed at actually the number. We took the FEMA money that Joe Biden allocated to pay for the free luxury hotel rooms, where he's paying hundreds of millions of dollars in New York City, and we used it to build this project. And Ron, it was just a little fraction of that money. The money they spent on that project. I happen to know the real estate developer. He's a he never really made that much, but he became very wealthy. With luxury, he didn't do well. With people,
it was, bro. It was an Arab dude. You know that?
Luxury. He's made
Lending
a fortune.
Tips knew the guy.
I want to thank Florida
This dude
Governor
became
Ron
a billionaire
DeSantis
off of immigrant
Secretary
housing.
Of Homeland Security,
A literal
Kristi Noem,
billionaire.
Florida Attorney General James Uthmire. Where is James? Where is he? You do a very good job. I hear good things. I hear good things about
Halliburton
you from Ron,
Pop.
too.
A lot of things are going
Now
crazy. I
he's
see a lot of medical,
he's even a good-looking
Guild,
guy.
Thermo
That guy's got a
Fisher,
future,
and I'm
huh?
even seeing
Good job,
consumer
James.
too.
You're
All
really-
on the high
really
ticker.
fantastic. Worked
So
hard.
once again,
You're like in the
your
construction
broad
business for a few
rally
days,
is
right?
continuing.
Huh?
Spy's not showing it, but
Congratulations.
everything is advancing.
For all the hard work and to make this facility possible. It's amazing. Thanks as well to Florida Agricultural Commissioner Wilton Simpson. Where is Wilton? Where are you, Will? Hi, Wilton.
There's
it's been a long
Wilton.
time. Thank you. Congressman Byron Donalds. Where's Byron? Hi, Byron. How are you? Good. Florida Speaker of the House, Daniel Perez. Daniel? Daniel, thank you, Daniel. Boy, you didn't want to sit up here with us, Daniel. Executive Director of the Florida Division of Emergency Management, Kevin Guthrie. Hi, Kevin. Good job. Acting Director of ICE, Todd Lyons. Todd, great job. And Senator Joe Gruters. He is a great guy. Where is Joe?
Lear.
We love
Again,
Joe.
more
Thank you
consumer
very
value,
much.
bro.
Thank you. Thank you, Joe. Joe is great. With the help of those incredible Border Patrol agents, we now have the lowest level of daily border crossings ever recorded. As you know, last month, the month of May, just got released 2 days ago, the number of illegal aliens into the United States was zero. Even I find that hard to believe. Somebody must have gotten in, I think. I don't know, but they say zero. And the people that count them are radical left Democrats. So when a radical left Democrat tells me it's zero, I believe him. But there's still much work to do. In the 4 years before I took office, Joe Biden allowed 21 million people, that's a minimum, I think it was much higher than that, illegal aliens to invade our country. He invaded our country just like a military would invade. It's tougher because they don't wear uniforms. You don't know who they are. More than the populations of New York City, Los Angeles, Chicago, Houston, Phoenix, and Philadelphia
the Watchlist last week.
Combined. That's what came into our country
It's kind of
from
crazy.
prisons, from
It
mental
took
institutions,
a couple days.
from street gangs.
And now it's just big.
Drug
I think
dealers.
the part that's shocking us
Disgusting.
isn't that this is happening. It's just that it's
This
doing it so
enormous
big.
country destroying invasion
We all knew this
has
was going to
swamped
happen. We all
communities
talked about
nationwide
it. And
with
again,
massive crime,
we knew not to
crippling
be
costs,
deceived. I think
and
we all just
burdens
thought it
far
would be
beyond
slow.
what any
and now
nation
today,
could
in one day, it's
withstand.
already like,
no
hi!
nation could withstand what we did. And we're in the process of doing it, but we have some great people doing it now, and you see them up here with me. But it's, I'd call it like an unforced era. It's sort of like men and women sports. It's sort of like transgender for everybody. How could they have done this to our country? And we're never going to forget it. Last year, 15% of all the hotel rooms in New York City were used to house illegal aliens at costs that they never got for luxury. They never got this much for luxury people coming in from
from the wealthiest places on earth. They made more money with the illegal immigrants, with many rooms costing more than $300 a night,
Nike
6
was
times
the
the rent of
canary
a
in the
typical
value
American
mine.
family. In Denver, Colorado,
when
the
they
city
flew
was forced
away,
to cut
it's
$10 million
free.
from its police and fire department budget as part of a $90 million plan to house illegal aliens. And it's a population that's growing and growing and destroying Denver and growing, and again, it's destroying Denver, and it's destroying many other cities too. Likewise, one of the city's largest hospital system is drowning in unpaid medical bills, unpaid in the billions.
Chad, I don't want to
After
sell
their
it.
emergency rooms were flooded with tens of
Come on,
thousands
I don't
of
want
illegals,
it. Why?
leading to the closure
Fuck
of critical
July, bro.
services. And these are really critical services. They can't even keep them open for American patients. The American patients were treated worse than any illegal immigrant.
CNC and
in Los
MOH,
Angeles,
those are
one in
from
every
the
4
bill.
students in the public school system.
But again,
is
I
from
think
a
nothing's
household
like
headed by
news popping.
an
Everything's just
illegal, and
melting
most
up.
of them don't speak
Now
English,
it's
so they're in a school
4%
system,
on a lot of them, bro.
And they don't have interpreters.
It's
They don't have
disgusting.
anything.
Even
They don't
Pepsi,
speak
136.
English. What a mess. What a mess. Unforced error. All these people allowed to come in. The United States is now spending $78 billion a year on translation. Okay, think of that. $78 billion a year on translation, and smaller numbers on special education programs for
Lower
non-English
my
speakers
cost
in our
on the
public
down
schools. So
payment.
78
The down
billion
payment is
dollars.
going to
I
be
think
like
that's
you
not
got to
a
put
mistake.
some down, but
I would say $1 million.
best
maybe?
case I get them to pay
Hundreds of
cover for
thousands of
closing
dollars,
costs and
$78
some other
billion,
things.
Joe, on translators and non-English speaking work. Federal government, the Justice Department, it's more than twice the cost of
Can't the
maintaining the
landowners
United
let
States
you show 'em?
Justice
They don't
Department.
want to.
What we're
They're giving
spending
me
on
a discount
translation
because
and
they need to
other
close
things
fast.
to help.
So they need to
In
sell
total,
this
the average
property
illegal
so that they
alien
could
costs
buy their
American
next one.
taxpayers an
So
estimated
unfortunately, they're not willing to carry or do
$70,000
anything.
each.
They're just giving me a
$70,000. I
discount,
think that number is
which is
even
good
lower.
enough.
If you care about balancing
JD and
the
Baba
budget,
on the high.
the single most impactful step we can
Remember,
take
China and
is to
where
fully
they stand in
reverse
all
the
this is gonna
Biden
be weird.
migration invasion. One of the worst invasions we've ever had. We've never had an invasion like this. We've had invasions, but we've taken care of them. We've never had an invasion like this, and it's with us. And we have some very bad people out there looking to do big harm. That's why the one big, beautiful bill includes funding for 3,000 new Border Patrol officers and 10,000 new ICE agents. And I've gotten to know the Border Patrol and ICE very well. Unlike Kamala, she was the border czar, but she never saw the border. She never made one phone call. She was some border czar. She would have been some president. Probably would have been slightly better than Biden, though. I had to run against both of them, you know? The one guy, it's like a fighter. You knock out the one guy who's doing badly, then they put somebody else in. But fortunately, she was a stiff also. Otherwise, I would have been very angry. I would have been extremely angry. The heroes of ICE will also help round up and remove members of the savage drug cartels, which are coming back into our country. And we got them out, and now some of them came back in. We
this
just got
is
them out
terrible.
again, and that's going to be a vicious cycle. But these are
Last
foreign
week,
gangs.
everything we wanted in the long term
horrendous
was
people,
waiting for
killers
us.
that have infiltrated
This
our
week, they're
territory,
all
including
fucking
8
up.
which we have designated as foreign terrorist organizations, which gives us a lot more power for speed and getting them out much easier. And we had a great
Fair
court
enough.
victory, as
Can't
you know,
you
on
give
Friday
them
that
a house?
allows
No,
us
bro.
to do what we
It's
have
okay.
to do
It's
from
okay.
the Supreme Court of the United States.
Like, think about, I'm gonna
In
make
5 months, my
$500,000,
administration
God
has already
willing.
arrested over
I'm fine with giving them my
2,700
money.
members
You
of
see what
the
I'm saying?
murderous
This is why I
Venezuelan
want you
gang
guys
known
to
as
see
Tren
the getting a
Aragua,
house. You
including
gotta
a
let
pack
go,
of
bro.
these
It's
sadistic
for bigger
animals
money. We
arrested
could double
last
our
month
long
with over
term in a day.
180 guns, and these are guns of the latest.
So yeah, it's
caliber.
okay.
These are
It's
guns
sad,
that were
but
made
it's
over the
okay.
last
We
period
got
of
to.
less than a year.
So don't you know?
Getting brand new guns,
Don't find too many
the
ways
latest
to
and the
not do it.
greatest. Every day,
Take
our
the
brave
lead.
law enforcement officers are hunting down and deporting migrant criminals who have committed heinous crimes, including more than 13,000 murderers. 11,888 to be exact, but I'd probably say the 13,000 is right also. Think of it, 11,888, and more than half of them, they committed more than one murder. So, Ron, many of them are out of here already, but it's still
Had to get off
it's
the
a hell of
bus
a
so I
number
could
to
walk on water.
be confronted with. Just this year, ICE agents
It does.
in
The
Miami
beginning of the quarters do
have
get exciting
apprehended
like this.
illegals with arrests for murder, kidnapping, rape, child sexual abuse, and arson, people of the worst order. We're getting these monsters out of the United States, out of Florida, out of all the places that they're in. And on January 20th, I signed an executive order empowering governors and state police to be deputized to enforce federal immigration laws. And Ron's already taken advantage of it. It's a tremendous advantage for the states. Most of them are doing it. Actually, the blue states tend not to do it.
Slick
Even
charts.
a couple of
That's
them
the one
have,
that
though.
had the year-to-date
And I want to express my tremendous thanks to the state
Okay,
of Florida.
Baba, like
for
I'm telling you, China is
embracing
waking
this
up right now.
opportunity and
That's the part of
being
the
a true
rotation
partner.
we don't
They
know
work
where it's
so
going to
well
go.
with the
We don't know if
federal
China
government. It's
continues
been
or if
just a
China
beautiful,
unwinds and sells the
beautiful
rip.
partnership.
So again, people are rotating to
Ron, I'd like to
American
thank you
value,
personally.
and they're
You're my
buying the
friend,
beaten
and
down
you'll always be
American
my friend.
value.
And
But
we may
remember,
have some
China's still up.
skirmishes
So
even
I
in
don't
the
know where
future.
they fit into all of
I
this.
doubt it.
Or we still, it's
But
too early to tell.
will always come
Because that
back
was, I talked
because
about
we
China
just
too
seem
the
to-
same time we
we
talked
have
about
a
everything
blood that
else.
seems
So
to
think about it
match
now.
pretty
China
well.
is
We
still
have-
the wild
We
card.
have a
We
relationship
don't really
that's
have an
been a very
idea.
strong one for a long period of time, and I appreciate it. Very much appreciate it. And also, Secretary Noem, I'd like to say, have you say a few words. You have been unbelievable, the job you've done. You and our favorite person, Tom Homan, have done, and your whole staff, because it's a lot of people, and Tom acknowledges it all the time. He respects you so much. He respects the staff that you both built. And you're really doing one of the great jobs. And it was great that you could work with Ron in Florida so well.
UHS.
It's a great facility. So
Okay,
please say a
more
few words.
Baba.
Thank you very much.
More China. MBio FDA orphan
Thank
for
you, Mr.
MB101
President.
treatment of malalignment.
First of all, I want to thank
myeloma.
you for putting the safety
Glioma?
and the security of the American people first, and the way that you never lose focus on making sure that America stays our priority and that the families that live here get the chance to grow up and to raise their children in communities that are safe and that give them an opportunity to pursue the American dream. This facility here is a fantastic representation of what can happen when all of government works together and when it's accountable to the taxpayers and to the citizens that live here. The president signed an executive order that allowed
getting
us
Amazon
to build partnerships with
IonQ new
states and with
quantum
local
product.
law enforcement officers, which is exactly how things should function in this country. More power, more authority given to people locally so that they can take control of their own destiny. And so we have already been working under the 287G program to deputize law enforcement officers, whether they be state highway patrol, local sheriff's departments in all of our states, and allow them to go out with our ICE officers, our border patrol officers, and make sure that we're getting the worst of the worst off of the streets. We also recognize that as we've been doing that and returning people back to their home countries, that we need detention facilities. We need beds to put them in place so that they can have their due process before they return home. And this facility is exactly what I want every single governor in this country to consider doing with us. What happened to start this conversation was that a young man named Jimmy Percival in my office, my general counsel, who came from Florida and used to work here, called up the Attorney General and the governor and said, hey, what do you think about partnering with us on a detention facility that we could put in place that would allow us to bring individuals there? There's an airstrip close by. You guys volunteered the assets that you have and the connections that you have, and worked with Kevin extensively so that we could come here, have their due process given, and return them home to their countries. And in 8
hotels
days,
and travel already
this
been killing
facility
it.
has been stood up. And I want everybody to recognize that detention facilities that ICE adheres to is a higher standard than is required at state levels, at local Department of Corrections facilities, sheriff's offices. This is a state-of-the-art facility, air-conditioned, isolated though for security purposes, which is very helpful. And I appreciate so many people being willing to work together to make a project like this happen. Right here on this location, we'll have about 3,000 beds. Other location will have another 2,000 beds that will allow us to bring individuals across the country that we are bringing in and incarcerating for violating our laws, and immediately get them out of the country as soon as we possibly can. It's exactly what we need to be perpetuating in other states. And what I would say is, I want all of you to notice these flyers that we've got, is that everybody who sees these flyers or anybody who sees these news clips should know you can still go home on your own. You can self-deport. If you go on the CBP Home app and go home now, you will get the chance to come back to the United States legally. you will get the chance to come back
It's
and
funny
do it the
because
right
if my
way.
dad tried to
If you
self-deport,
don't, you may
they'd
end up
kill
here.
him if he went back
and
to
you
his
may
home
end up
country.
here and being processed
So
and
that's-
deported out of this country and never
it's a
get the
little
chance to
difficult.
come back. That is the
Just all
consequences
depends
of
on the
breaking the law in the
situation.
United States of America.
But
Listen,
we
our
should
job is
dictate
to
our whole
uphold the
foreign
law.
policy on
This
an
is a
anecdote.
country of laws. We have a border now, and because we have a president that cares and recognizes that we need to be a nation of borders and a nation that upholds the law. If you break the law, there's consequences. We will deport you and you will never get to be a United States citizen. You'll never even get to come back here and work and to pursue the American dream. But if you decide
That's how
you
it's
wanna
gonna
go
work
home now,
at
go home.
Colt Ranch,
and
too.
We'll help facilitate it. We'll
If
buy
you
a
guys
plane
aren't
ticket.
aware.
We'll get you there. In fact, I
So
just got
I
back
will
from
unban you in the chat,
Panama,
but remember
Costa
too,
Rica,
though,
Guatemala,
at the
Honduras.
same time,
Those
once we
countries
start
are
getting
excited
Colt
to
Ranch
get their
going,
citizens home.
if
They're
you
setting
do
up
get
programs to
deported,
loan them
you are
money to
not
buy
allowed
houses
back,
when they get
okay?
there.
I'm just
help them
letting
with
you
food
know.
assistance, get their children educated, scholarships. They want their citizens that are living here in the United States illegally to come home and to be a part of their economy and help
Why
their
are you
countries
making
grow. So this is a
deportation
win-win
jokes? You
for
live in the
everyone,
United
and I just want to
Kingdom.
end, Mr. President,
Okay? You're not
by
allowed to comment
thanking
on
our
our
law
immigration
enforcement
policy.
officers, by thanking
Thank
our
you.
ICE officers
Please
and our
return
Border
back
Patrol
to your tea and
officers
crumpets
for what
now.
they do every day.
Okay?
They
I
are
don't
out
want to
on
hear
the
it.
streets,
The
and
fuck?
violence against
Okay,
them
and
has
Canadians,
increased
go
over
play hockey before
500%,
we don't. Okay,
since Trump
I
has
don't
gone
know
back
where
into the
we're
White
talking
House
about Florida
because he's upholding
alligators
the
and
law and
immigrants.
because
I
a
don't
bunch
know
of
where
liberals,
Canadians
socialists,
in the
and
United
Marxists
Kingdom
are
thought
out
they
there
fit in this
lying
conversation.
about what President
The
Trump
fuck is
doing.
wrong with you?
President Trump is upholding freedom by what he is doing. The freedom to live safely in this country and to do things legally and to have justice. And because those liberals, and I'm calling out you, CNN, I'm calling you out because you lie every single day about what these operations are. We are going after murderers and rapists and traffickers and
Having
drug
a
dealers and
crumpet
getting
now?
them
I'm
off the
sure you
streets
are,
and
dog.
getting them out of this country because Joe Biden let the worst
I've never had a
rulers come
crumpet
here.
in my
The other day I was
life.
talking to some
I don't even
marshals
know
that
what a
have been
crumpet
partnering
looks
with ICE.
like.
They said that they
I
had
feel
detained
like
a
I just
cannibal
know it's a
and put
phrase.
him on a plane
What does it?
to
I'm gonna
take
go
him
look
home,
up a
and while they
crumpet
had him
right
in his
now,
seat,
bro.
he started to eat
It
himself.
sounds like an instrument.
And they had to
It
get him
sounds
off
like
and
a
get him
dance
medical
move. It
attention.
started
These are
as
the
an
kind of
instrument,
deranged
and then it
individuals
evolved into a
that are
dance
on our
move
streets in
as
America
hip hop
that we're
culture
trying to
and
target
social
and get out of
media
our
turned it
country
into a TikTok
because they
dance. A
are
crumpet
so
sound like a
deranged, they don't
dance.
belong here. And they don't
Bezos backed methane tracking satellite lost in space.
They shouldn't be living in the communities with our families who just want to grow up, go to job, raise their children to grow up.
I'm pretty sure
and get a job
whatever
and to live
Don
the
Lemon,
American
like,
dream.
listen,
So thank you to
y'all
all
think
of our
I'm
law
talking
enforcement
shit? I'm trying to
officers,
keep
those
Harry
in our
safe.
military that have been helping
This
our
whole
National
time, you
Guard.
think
Thank
I
to
want to
Governor
just interview
DeSantis
him
for
to make
stepping
fun
up
of
and
him?
being an
No.
example to
I'm
other
trying to
governors. I
save
hope my phone
Harry
rings off
before
the hook
he gets
from
diddied by
governors calling
Dawn.
and saying, how
Like,
can
y'all
we do
see,
what
I'm
Florida
thinking
just
about
did?
the humans.
How can we do
Y'all don't get
exactly
it, bro.
what they did? Because if
Watch,
this,
what's
we
going?
need this
They're gonna
big,
turn
beautiful
Harry
bill.
into
We
Aaron Carter in the
absolutely
next
have to have
15 years,
this
bro.
big, beautiful
He's gonna be
bill
the
that has
Aaron
the
Carter
funding
of
so
the
that we
Democratic
can
world.
continue this
If we don't save
operation
Harry right
and we
now,
can get
are y'all
those
kidding me?
bad
Y'all don't care about his
criminals
future?
off of our streets
Fuck y'all.
and have the officers
Harry,
to do it
get
so
away
that when
from
they
that
go out on an
man, Harry.
operation, somebody's got their
Okay?
back. Somebody's got their back. They
Stay
can do it
away,
safely
Harry.
and they
Be
can go home
careful.
to their families
You
at
still
night
have a
too.
future, Harry. You're a young
This bill
man.
needs to pass through Congress so we have the resources at the Department of Homeland Security to make sure that our homeland truly is
Senate
secure. Mr.
passes
President,
Trump
thank
tax
you for
bill,
Stephen
teeing
Miller.
up final
I just wanna
passage
thank
in
you
the
for him.
House.
This guy calls me
Wow,
night and
cuts
day
in spending
and,
sent to House
tells
of
me
Representatives.
all
Holy
of his
shit, I told
wise
you it's gonna
advice
pass.
and wisdom.
I'm
But,
still shocked.
He's a rock star because he
JD
loves this
Vance
country and
broke
he's
the tie.
passionate
Wow.
about making sure that nobody is
Once
prioritized
again,
over an
all
American
of the
citizen.
ridiculous
They-
spending.
we
I'm
love
going to remember
everybody.
this, JD.
We
I
love
didn't
everybody.
forget
We
when
love everybody.
Kamala did it.
A lot of people.
But
not
we shouldn't be,
everybody.
Oh
be
my
putting
gosh,
people
history is
illegally
repeating
above
so
citizens.
perfectly.
We should be
That's it. This
making
time
sure
it's
that
in
we
red.
do things right, and that's what
That's
America
all.
has always stood for, and
That's
we're an
amazing.
example to the rest of the world
That's
because we
fucking
do it right.
crazy.
So, Mr. President, you surround yourself with great people, and I think that's because everybody wants to work for the greatest president
Lyft
the United
is
States
rocketing.
has ever had.
Mandani wins NYC mayor primary.
Thank you.
So you have the socialist winning New York. I don't know if that's why, but check
Thank
Lyft.
you very much.
But it could
And
be
I have
on
to
that
say
one. I
that,
don't know. Maybe
you
it's
know,
going to
when
be government-owned
Christie's name
Lyfts
was
or
put
something.
before
I don't
me by
fucking
Tom
know.
Homan, by the way, because I wanted him for the border, and somehow I thought that was going to be good in that sort. But he didn't want the upper job, and I said, "Who do you recommend?" Christy Noem. I said, "Oh, are you kidding? She's great, but she's such a fine, elegant person." He said, "Sir, she's tough as hell." I said, "Are you sure? You are tough as hell, I tell you, and you do it in a very nice way, but you are, if you ever saw her ride a horse, she rides a horse like she should be in the rodeo. She's like an unbelievable horse person. And you've done a fantastic job, and Steve Miller would even agree to that. And he likes
Let
nobody.
it happen.
By the way.
I heard he knew it was gonna
I don't
happen.
think
That's
he
why
likes
I'm
anybody.
telling you, all of you
and
have to
another one we
protect
like is
yourself.
Ron. And Ron,
That's
would
it.
you say a few words?
I can't change it. I wish I could.
Thank you, Mr. President. Welcome.
You know, one day
back
I'll
to
run for
Florida,
politics,
I think
and
this
we'll
is the
fucking
first time you've
change
been
the
back
world,
since,
Chad.
the
But
events
till
of a
then,
couple
we
weeks.
gotta
So just let me
fucking now we
say,
gotta protect
as
ourselves.
somebody that was
they're passing this
serving on
fucking
active
bill,
duty
so
in
there's
Iraq
just gonna
back
be a
in the
lot of
day,
money.
we
I don't
witnessed
think it'll
the
be
number of
as
our troops that were
inflationary,
killed or
but
wounded by the
I do
Iranians.
think that
we know that
the priority of becoming an owner just got raised very, very high.
Joe Biden, they were about to get nuclear weapons. And because of your strong actions, those dreams and those ambitions have been reduced to rubble. And I thank you. I know a lot of veterans thank you, and people in Florida really thank you for stepping up and really making a strong, tough, but strong decision. I think we're much safer as a result of that. Now, on the immigration, I think President Trump's election represented the chance for us to finally solve this illegal immigration and border problem once and for all.
SPXEW. I'm glad you guys are watching it now. Some of you are calling that out. I think you see it. Isn't that crazy? I'm glad we noticed it right fucking here. But
success. But then we have the issue of
fat rotation today,
Biden
bro.
let in
fat.
how many millions of people? And you had millions that had been in over decades previous to that. You can't have a country if you don't have respect for the rule of law. You can't have a country if foreigners
Bro, the long term's
get to decide
disgusting.
who comes
Again,
in. No, we
on
the
one of our
American
accounts
people
are up
make
nearly
that decision,
30%
who's
this
allowed
year.
or not allowed to come
Again,
into
a
our
lot
country.
of other
We've
places are
seen
still
Europe
negative.
be
Overall
overrun
indexes are barely
by
up
open
3%.
borders. So we're not going to let that
So
happen
God is
here.
good,
So
baby.
when
Praise the
President
Lord.
got elected,
Finger
I
to the
knew
sky.
that the
I don't think you
states had
missed
an
out on
important role to
anything.
play
We
in
still got
facilitating this
opportunity,
really
but this is
historic
exactly
mission.
why you guys
We're
need
the
to be an
only
owner.
state
This
in
is just the
America,
beginning. Like I'm telling you, bro, our
Florida
job,
that
we need to
requires
become
full
owners. If you are not an
cooperation
owner
with
yet,
ICE from
stocks,
all
real
state
estate,
and local law
I don't care who you
enforcement
voted for, but
entities.
I'm telling
And
you,
what is
this
the
is
net
where
result of that?
you got to make
We
sure,
have
though,
these
that you are on
agreements
this
for these
path.
287G
Because
task force
these government
with
people don't
sheriff's
give a shit
departments,
about
police
any of us.
departments, state
They don't care
agencies,
if you support their
and
politics
it's
either.
really instrumental
That goes
in
for all of
rounding
us
up a
because
lot of
we've
really
all
bad
supported
people who
stuff
shouldn't
and been
be
let
here.
down.
If
So,
you look at the
like I'm
number
saying,
of those
if a lot of
full-blown
money is going to be
287G
happening,
agreements that have
it's
been
not going to play
executed
out how
around
you
the
think,
country,
but
the state
you
of
should,
Florida
you
counts
got to
for
be an owner.
60%
That's the way you're going to get
of
set
those.
free.
If you look at the number of immigration arrests of illegal aliens on any given day, the arrests happening in Florida constitute between 15 and 20%. Nationwide. So we're all in on this because we understand how important it is to our citizens. It crowds schools, it crowds medical, it crowds housing. Yes, you have illegal alien crime as well, and people want the problem solved. And the only way we're going to solve it is if states like Florida step up and help the president, help Secretary Noem get the job done. Now, this facility here was really in response to us working with DHS and ICE from the time the president got sworn in. And the number one thing they kept coming back to was, Biden decimated the agency. I mean, let's just be clear. You could have illegals in Florida.
I
Biden
think
would
today
just
is
release
just too
them.
much hype
Even when
on
they
the
had
defense.
notices or they had
I was just telling
orders
you,
to
that
be
was the
removed,
thing
Biden
that
wouldn't
the
send them
bill's
back.
passing.
So there were
But
interior
it's like
enforcement
taking a little bit of
collapsed under
profits, and
Biden.
then I think it's
So
going to
they're
run.
building it
But
back
for now,
up.
they're
They're
going
like,
for the other
we
one.
need detention space in order to be able to bring about more
Well, like I'm saying,
deportations.
dude,
And so what
I don't
we
know.
have
This
here,
because you guys know I support Donald Trump. I voted for him, and I'm not taking that back. I don't regret it either. But like I'm telling you, I will do what I think is right. I think I've been very objective and straightforward with all of you early. So, and I hope you could thank me for that, because I don't like it when people tell me the right thing too late. I've told you everything in advance, and I've told you with a very large runway. And like I'm saying, it's just like, dude, if we can't change it, if this is what's gonna happen, great. Like I'm saying, we can't go back on that. But what we can do is protect ourselves moving forward. And I already had this mentality. I already had this in my mind, but even more so. And like I'm saying, I don't care who you voted for, bro. This is about America. If you're an American, even if you're not an American, but especially my Americans, you live in this country. I don't care who you vote. We're all in this together, baby boy. So what you got to do, though, is ownership. That's the way. Go see Biden. Go see Trump. It doesn't matter. Look at what the assets did. You need to protect yourself and have a good setup for that. And that's why I'm saying now, I've already said it, all signs are, everyone's getting what they want. They're all going to pass this shit through. So you got to really start thinking about how you're how your finances are going to be set up. And remember, you will have a tax break coming soon. So think about factoring that in to turn your tax break into ownership is what I'm trying to tell you. For real. I hope
says there is no reason why other states can't be doing, and I know Louisiana, Texas, a couple of them, but we've got if only the red states did this, they would be able to expand their capacity by tens of thousands, maybe 50, 100,000 on a given day. That's how you really start to make a difference. And so we're proud to be able to partner with the Trump administration.
I'm not worried about the tariffs.
Thanks for coming down. I think
like
you
highlighting that's how we got here, bro.
Is going to move the needle in a big way.
If you took my stance on tariffs, you made a lot of fucking
us,
money and you didn't have as much fear.
I think our voters want to see.
Although I still think tariffs are in play, it's just not that big of a deal right now. We need a real life effect.
For the opportunity.
Until that comes in, until China falls through, until Europe falls through, I wouldn't trip on tariffs. You got to follow the money, follow the numbers. It will let you know when that becomes an issue. But if it's not, I wouldn't waste your time getting caught up in it. Again, I do think Fed policy, the rates and the dollar, that's the next step. Ultimately, wherever rates and dollars settles, that is going to give us a lot.
Without the president, the secretary, and the governor's vision and determination
how are
to
you so
uphold
sure
the
it's
rule
going
of
to
law.
get passed?
Florida is and will
because
always
it's already
be
gone through
a
the
law and
House
order state.
one time, or they got
Even
one
before
bill,
the president took
and then
office,
now
the
the
governor made
Senate,
it clear
and then
that
everybody's
illegal
getting
immigration
bribed, is what I'm
would
calling
not be
it.
tolerated
So
in the state of Florida.
I think it is going to pass.
When the president and the secretary asked Florida to help, the governor empowered our state and private partners to work collaboratively and deliver real results on a rapid timeline. The Florida Division of Emergency Management is best known for leading the nation in hurricane response and other
I mean, as I said, it reminds me of a developer going all in, willing to pay premium to fucking hammer it through. So,
our team
I said that a month ago, or 3 weeks ago. I was like, dude, do you guys really believe in AI? Because you're betting on it.
In 2 weeks.
You're legitimately betting on productivity. If we don't get productivity, we are fucked.
We simply just want to be
I could almost guarantee that.
At what we do
I don't know if we're going to get it or not, but I can tell you the consequence. So if you do this bill and we do not get
how to set up
half of the productivity that we're expecting, and we don't get real growth from AI or whatever, maybe something new from AI.
In a matter of
if
days
we don't get that,
before
we are
storm.
fucked for like 5 years, 10
We're
years.
able to translate this
Because I don't
knowledge
think it's
to what
too
we
much
did
money,
here
too much
at Alligator
investment,
Alcatraz.
and then now you're
Florida's
not.
put the
It just
best
not. It turns
teams
into China.
together
That's
who
what
check
happened
their
with China.
individual logos and egos at the door to get this done. Not just for you, Governor, but Mr. President, for you as well.
It really is
there are
growth
over
at all
13
costs.
different vendors.
Because if you don't get growth,
that came
we're done.
together to get this solved in 8 days. Truly a whole of private sector partnership to get that done. Behind you on these boards, in only 8 days, we have built a fully compliant detention facility with a detainee capacity of up to 3,000 people, with room for additional capacity if you asked us to do so.
It is
the
true.
detention facility includes
I
over
agree. I'm glad that
158,000
you
square
mentioned that.
feet of housing and is a fully aluminum frame structure rated for winds of 110 miles an hour or a high-end Category 2 for those people that don't think that we're taking that into consideration. This is Florida, by the way. Power supply is fully redundant with backup generators in place. We've put a staff village here on site with a capacity of 1,000. Our services are hot meal 3 times a day, 24/7 medical facility, pharmacy, air conditioning, access to indoor and outdoor rec yards, legal and clergy support services, laundry.
Like I'm
Our
saying,
security
I'm
element
glad
is
you
over
brought that
200
up
security
because I
cameras
have just
throughout
highlighted the
facility,
negative.
More than 28,000 feet of barbed
Because like I'm
wire,
saying, we're
400
fucked
plus
if we don't
security
get growth.
personnel to
But on the
include
reverse, if
200
it does
men and
work,
women, soldiers and
all
airmen
of that
underneath
money we
Major General
printed
John Haas's
in the last like
command
5,
as the
10
Adjutant
years
General
of
Florida.
mistakes,
And it's all
you would at
surrounded, as
least
pointed out,
wind
Mr.
back
President,
some
by
of
10
it.
miles
You would at
of
least
beautiful
benefit
Florida
and
Everglades.
make some of those investments
Contingencies,
productive,
as with all
which would
state
be
correctional
fascinating
facilities, we have a
and
hurricane
very
plan.
good.
We
Russia
will not
holds
wait
call with
for a Cat
Macron,
2. We will
Putin.
follow our normal evacuation procedures as we do for any other facility statewide.
Okay, spy ripping now. You have China playing along. Equal weight is through the fucking roof, dog. And now you have everybody else playing back above 6,200. Remember, this was your all-time high. And then 62.15, I think 62.17, otherwise 62.25.
Everything we did here in the last 8 days, God forbid, if we have a hurricane, we're going to do it again. This was a dress rehearsal for us, and we are ready, willing, and able to support you, sir, the governor, secretary, and everything that you need us to do. Just a week ago, it was a taxiway and a runway, and now is a fully functioning facility. We are happy to support you, Mr. President, Governor, Secretary.
Fantastic. Byron, please.
Is that it? Seems like they're still up. Again, this is a round table.
There we go. First of all, Mr.
We
President,
love it.
we all
Get
have to
cribs
thank
now,
you
baby.
for your leadership.
Amen, man. And I'm
for
glad
the
that
mandate
some of
the
y'all,
American people gave
you know, I'm
to
glad you
finally
took a
secure
chance
our
on
borders
yourself and
and
me
to deport
because
criminal
it
illegal
wasn't
aliens
easy to get a
and
long term.
long-standing illegal
It
aliens
was, but it
out of the
wasn't,
United
and it was
States.
hard to hold
That is a
through.
mandate given to you
So
by the
some of
American
you, man,
people.
I'm glad, and you
Secretary
just had a
Noem,
test, bro.
Stephen Miller,
You know
Governor
that all of
DeSantis,
us were
myself,
just
on
sitting
behalf
through
of the other
here,
members of Congress
and again,
in
you
the
even
Senate,
saw
and
it,
of
bro.
course,
When
here in
push
Florida,
comes to
we are
shove,
behind you
shit
100%
starts
in
dropping.
that
You
mission.
saw
To the
motherfuckers
Governor,
crumble.
I really appreciate you.
Ready
and
to
commend you
fold.
for
So
your leadership
if you
on
did
taking
it, bro,
swift,
and you
decisive
turn that
action
to opportunity,
building this
my
facility.
brother, this
One of
is
the
why we're
things
here.
that
So
has
good work,
occurred
baby.
because of the work
Let's do
you
more.
did
Let's
earlier
do more.
this
And then
year
house,
with the
though. That's why we're going to
is
turn
that
this
our
to a
sheriffs
crib,
are out
baby.
there every single day.
Get ready.
They are arresting
Get
these
ready.
criminal aliens in our streets.
I know, man.
And
I'm glad
we're
he's
seeing
making
some
us.
backlog
At
in
least
their
we're going to
jails.
get a little
So this
extra
facility,
money before we end up
primarily
selling
goes
out.
to address some of that
So
backlog,
I'm
and then
happy.
to help us fulfill
But
the,
then we
the
missed
mission
out on some
that
of the
the
other ones,
president
bro.
has led us to. So, Governor,
We
thank you
did
for
a
your
lot of, bro.
leadership, and thank you for your
You
decisive
saw it.
action on
Even
this.
then,
It
people
really
were
does mean a
solid,
lot
and then
to
right
all the
when
people
Trump
of
went
Florida.
crazy,
It's, of course, the
people
people
were
of the
ready to
19th
panic.
Congressional
Again,
District.
if you weren't paying
Secretary Noem, I mean,
attention,
what can I say? The
you didn't
president's
know the
right, you're double
context,
tough.
bro. Like
So we
he had
appreciate all your
opportunity.
leadership. You
Other
and Tom
people,
Homan
that was the
have been doing a
opportunity to
great
run
job.
away, bro.
And I'm
So
actually
like
going
I'm
back to
saying,
DC
I'm
after this
glad
because
I
we have
helped
to
you,
vote on one
and I'm
big,
glad with
beautiful
what we
bill
did. But
in
you
the
guys
House.
got to
We have
realize,
get that
some
to
of
the
you,
president's
I
desk
gave the
so we
same
can get you the
info to
resources
thousands of
that you
people.
need to fulfill the
So some
mission
of you
that
did
the
it.
American
Some
people
of
have
you others
asked us to
ignored it.
do.
You see what I'm saying? So
totally
good for
agree
you
with,
if you did well.
what,
And I
Mr.
hope you
Guthrie
learned
has
from
said.
it.
This
And
is
if you
a
did,
logistical
let this be a
marvel when something like
reminder
this
to you
occurs.
of how
We've
to
seen,
operate
Florida
next
Department
time you
of
see
Emergency
this.
Management
And
answer
remember,
the
this
bell
is
time
why
and
you
time
have
again.
rules and
The governor has
plans
said
that
we
will
need to
protect you
accomplish
under
this,
any
accomplish this,
scenario.
and DEM gets that
Again,
job
this ain't
done.
the first. This
And,
ain't
we
the
had a
first
side
rodeo,
conversation
baby.
about- I know there were some concerns. People were like, well, what happens if a hurricane comes? What happens if
All right,
this
I'm gonna go
happens?
pee. Follow me
And
on
I looked
Instagram at the
Kevin
Trader
Guthrie and I
Fraternity.
said,
Real
"You already
Coat
have a
News
plan,
on
don't you?"
Twitter.
And he goes, of course
God
we
bless
have a
the
plan.
chat.
You know
God
that
bless
we
the
do.
long term.
This is
Amen.
what Florida does, Mr. President.
I don't know what's going
So I
on
wanna
Meta, just
commend
big
you
tech,
for your
bro.
leadership and your vision
Not
on this.
all of them are
Governor,
just-
thank you for all that you've done with your vision and determination. Secretary Noem, we're going to get the bill done so you get the resources you need. See you, sir.
Thank you very much. Oh, thank you. Wow. Thank you. You know, I'm waiting, listening to these wonderful words, and they are music to my ears, but I was also wondering how we're doing, because I know this is prime time. It shows that I care about you because I'm here and I probably should be there, but we do care. Thank you very much. James, please. We're all happy now, James.
Yeah. Well, I can speak on behalf of all of our sheriffs, state law enforcement, our police chiefs. We are going to continue to make arrests, our pedals to the metal, as many as we can. We want to fill this place up. The governor and Kevin have shown they can build bridges in 3 days, so why not some detention facilities? Hopefully there's more to come. And you really kind of were the inspiration for this. We like the idea of reopening the original Alcatraz. I don't know if that can happen or not, but we thought, hey, we've got our own natural Alcatraz in the middle of the Everglades. Great runway, great perimeter, so let's make it happen. In Florida, we walk the walk, and we will deliver for all of you. Thank you.
Well, I heard you were responsible for the locational pick, and you cannot have picked a better location. I said, whoever the hell made this choice, I know you take it a little heat from some environmental groups, but I take it all the time, and that's an honor. But I heard you were very responsible for that choice, and that was a big choice. Thank you very much. Great job, James. Thank you. You want to finish over here, and then we'll go over here. We'll go back and celebrate the big, beautiful bill that you just got passed. You sure that's right, Brian? Yeah, all right. Wow, good. He's doing a good job.
Right.
Wow.
Mr. President, first of all, I just want to say how grateful we are that you're back here in your home state of Florida. You've been
been doing an amazing job, not only at our border, but around the world, keeping this country safe and Americans. We are grateful for your leadership. God had a plan for us, and it was Donald Trump. So thank you for that. As a member of the Immigration Board and as the Commissioner of Agriculture of this state, I've been happy to help lead with the governor and the rest of the cabinet on this issue. We're very proud, Secretary Noem's here today and others, to represent not only the United States in our efforts to make this commitment to keep our citizens safe, but we're going to continue in Florida to remove the barriers to have your vision come true of a safe United States. We're going to get these illegal criminals out of this state, and we really appreciate you and your leadership in this effort. So thank you for being here.
Thank you very much. You're doing a great job, too. Thank you.
Yeah, bank's still going
Thank
up.
you, Mr. President. Joe Gruters, State Senator.
John
member
Gruden?
of your Homeland Security
Tampa
Advisory
Bay.
Council, your Vice Chairman. Thank you for that appointment.
Kremlin, Putin, and Macron
and thank you
discussed
for coming
Ukraine
back to
war.
Florida and everything that you do. Every single day you are delivering
Amen,
on the
bro.
promises that you
I love it.
promised to us.
You
at
guys are
all
making
the events
real
you've
progress,
done throughout the
Praise
years,
the
but
Lord.
specifically
You know
this
that
last
God is
campaign.
very
You
good.
deserve all the
I saw it
credit
at
for
the
everything,
beginning of the
and you're
year.
surrounding yourself
That
with
motivated
incredible
me,
people,
and I'm glad I
Secretary
didn't.
Noem, Stephen Miller.
I'm glad I didn't
And
go easy
just like
on
your
some
big
of y'all.
beautiful bill,
You know that
here in
because I'm
Florida,
looking at it.
there was
More
a lot of
fruit.
commotion about our
More
immigration
fruit,
bill.
baby. More
And
fruit.
we had 3 B's in that: beds, badges, and bad guys. And this goes right along with our
Why
beds
so
and the
many
resources.
Bs?
And I give the governor, Ron DeSantis, a lot of credit for stepping up and making sure that we all work together, because at the end of the day, even if sometimes there are skirmishes, as a result of the
Circle
back
is
and
popping.
forth, we ended up with a better
It was just
bill,
kind of selling off
and we
again. They
all
had the
win. And what we're
stablecoin
doing
stuff.
here in Florida,
They
hopefully
applied for
will
the other ship.
happen all across the country. You've done, your leadership is amazing. Keep up the great work, and just know that Florida loves President Donald J.
Okay,
Trump.
equal weight
Thank you very
dropping
much.
now.
For a long time. Appreciate it. By the way,
Okay, this is big.
Okeechobee is something that
Look,
we did together
look.
also.
Because the whole time
And
this
it was,
hasn't happened, you
a
guys.
lot of money
So
spent.
now you got
I
equal
hope it
weight
was
coming
well
down
spent. I
with
know
the
they did.
spy.
We did a Rolls
So
Royce
what you
job.
need to
It's a
watch
lot of
for
money
is
that
if
we spent
spy
back
goes
there
up and if
together.
equal weight goes down, that will be the money moving back to the Nvidias and shit. For a little bit. But watch, that's the first time this has happened in an hour since I've told you this. So if you are watching the dynamic today, it kind of confused some people, but it's still good. But that's what I'm saying. Like every other moment, the equal weight hasn't came down. Now it's coming down on this one.
All right, we're gonna go talk to the Army Corps then after this.
Good. You can move faster, actually.
Okay,
Please.
okay. Please.
I think it. Oh, no, sir. Just first, on behalf of the men and women of ICE, we just want to thank you for allowing us to do our job again. You know, your vision and under Secretary Noem's leadership, this is what the American people want. And I hope that you see great results of what we're doing out there every day, of getting the worst of the worst out of our communities. Because of you and Secretary Noem, I have the privilege to lead one of the most premier and the finest law enforcement agencies that we do have in the United States. And the men and women of HSI and ERO Miami do incredible work like you highlighted. And with the governor in the state of Florida, the partnership in Florida has been amazing. The 287G program is only going to help us to identify all those known gotaways and get the worst of the worst out of the neighborhoods. And through our Homeland Security Task Force, we are going to make America safe again. So thank you very much to both you and the Secretary.
Thank you, Todd. Great job. Really great job you're doing. Thank you. Please.
Please.
Good morning, Mr. President. Thank you so much for coming. Again, as Garrett Ripp, I'm the Field Office Director for ICRO here for the Miami Field Office. Incredible collaborative work we've been doing together, working with the state, working with our local partners. And again, just the 287G is going to open up that aperture and allow us to get those bad hombres off the street and get them into this facility. And we're looking forward to it. And again, just appreciate all your support.
Thank you. Always thank you. You've always been so great. Thank you very much. Please.
All right, you guys do a push-up. We forgot.
Good afternoon,
8:30.
Mr. President. On
I need
behalf
to do
of
a
Air Marine
stretch.
Operations, my name is Andres Blanco. I'm the Executive Director for Southeast
Yeah, that
Region.
was the news in the morning. It's good
AMO
news if they
continues
got
to
it.
execute and support your executive orders. Air
I
Marine
think that's an
Operations
update. The
brings a unique,
bank charter.
capability
I don't know if they
both
wanted to
air and
manage the
maritime
reserves. I
domains,
think they had another
and
one
in
that could be an
partnership with
update.
our Border Patrol, OFO officers, and
Boeing
Aero,
remains committed to acquisition of Spirit Aero systems and honoring terms of the agreement. Boeing taking ownership of Belfast is an outcome we've known was a possibility for some time.
Good afternoon, Mr. President. Jose Figueroa. I am the acting special agent in charge for Homeland Security investigations here in South Florida, and our office covers from Key West to
House
Fort
will work
Pierce.
quickly to pass
Tremendous
by July
collaboration
4th.
here with the state and our federal partners. HSI is conducting criminal investigations into TDA MS-13s that are involved in human smuggling, sex trafficking of minors, and we will continue that effort with your support. Governor DeSantis, thank you very much for this facility. Looking forward to continue the great work. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Steve, would you like to say something? Our star.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to say on a personal note, getting to watch what you've done over the last 5 months to deliver on a 50-year hope and dream of the American people.
He's so
to
like
secure the border.
serious. I love him.
When President Trump came into office on
He
January
just has
20th,
that vibe, bro.
the United States
Like, he
had
does
endured
all the extra
largest
credit.
wave
I
of
know
illegal
he does.
immigration in human
Like,
history.
you know what I'm
Not
saying?
just American history, human history. And within just a few days, President Trump, through his strength, leadership, diplomacy, and vision, achieved the most secure border anyone in the world has ever seen. When we recently went overseas to the NATO summit, I had senior staff in foreign governments come up to me and ask me how he achieved the Trump miracle on his border and could that be replicated in their countries. For individuals who don't work in this space, to have 0 successful illegal entries in an entire month should be an impossible achievement. There's a 2,000-mile border with one of the poorest countries in the world, and you have open travel from 150 countries into Central America and South America. There are 2 billion people in the world that would economically benefit from illegally coming to the United States. And through the deployment of the military, through the deployment of novel legal and diplomatic tools, through the building of physical infrastructure, through the empowering of ICE and Border Patrol, and the entire federal law enforcement apparatus, President Trump achieved absolute border security. And now, once this legislation is passed, he will be able to make that with those resources permanent. Watching what you've done, sir, has been one of the honors of a lifetime. I'm proud to be able to play any role in it. And what President Trump is going to achieve next with the resources in this bill will make America safer, stronger, freer, more sovereign, and more prosperous than it has ever been before. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you. And the bill is going to be great for Ron. It's going to be great for Florida too. A lot of set-asides for Florida. Some of the things that you wanted to do, and so it's great news to hear that it was approved. Do you want to take a few questions, Ron? We'll take a few questions from these. Yeah, please go ahead. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. President. Given the likelihood of the One Big Beautiful Bill passing, and we look forward to the success of this facility here, how many more facilities like this do you feel that the country needs in order to enact your agenda of mass deportations?
Well, I think we'd like to see them in many states, really many states. This one, I know Ron's doing a second one, at least a second one, and probably a couple of more. And you know, at some point they might morph into a system where you're going to keep it for a long time. You know, it's not that far away from jails that take years to build, and money is spent and wasted. And you know, like the railway that they have in California that costs like 40 times more than it was supposed to cost. The same things happens with prisons. You look at this in a short period of time. Ron, James, and some of the people that really worked on it along with our people, they did this in less than a week. And you look at it, it's incredible. The incredible thing is picking the site, because the site was one of the most natural sites. It might be as good as the real Alcatraz site. You know, it could be. Well, that's a spooky one too, isn't it? That's a tough site. But so I think it could last as long as they want to have it. I mean, you may morph this into, you know, your prison system, frankly, which I know you always need, unfortunately. I'd like to say, you know, a little controversial, but I couldn't care less. We have a lot of bad criminals that came into this country, and they came in stupidly. It was an unforced error. It was an incompetent president that allowed it to happen. It was an auto pen maybe that allowed it to happen, and it did happen. But we also have a lot of bad people that have been
a lot
here
of
for
other
a long
stuff
time.
running.
People that whack people over the head with a baseball
Equal
bat
weight
from
came down
behind
though,
when they're
so
not looking, and
as
killing
we are
people that,
approaching
knife you when you're walking
an
down
hour
the
of
street.
Euro
They're
close, off of Euro
not
close,
new to our country.
the
They're
first
old to our
time. Maybe
country.
they all
Many have
match
more
up
border
right
in our
now, but
country. I
if
think we ought to
equal
get
weight
them the
starts
hell
coming
out of here,
down,
too.
then
You
you'll
want to
see.
know the truth. So maybe that'll be the next job that we'll work on together. But I think getting them out, you know, we forget about them. We had some bad accidents in New York, and they're not accidents. They were done very much in purpose. People being pushed into a subway just before it arrives, going 40 miles an hour. And they're 10 feet away from where the thing is, to get pushed right into the face of the subway train, get whacked and killed. And these are sick people. I'd like to get them out of here too. Yeah, please, go ahead. White shirt, glasses.
Julio Rosas, Blaze Media, sir. A couple months ago, I ran into former DHS Secretary Mayorkas, and I asked him a couple questions about his disastrous handling of the border. He didn't like my questions. But the number one question that I heard from people in responding to my video was, why hasn't he been arrested yet? Obviously, you guys are cleaning up the mess that was made deliberately for the past 4 years, and so people want accountability. It's great to see that the border is secured, and it's great to see the state level cooperation. But I guess I would ask you, why hasn't he been held accountable, or anybody really?
Well, pardons were given out by to many people, and they shouldn't have been given out. Like the Unselect Committee of Political Thugs was given a pardon because they destroyed all of the information from 2 years of hearings, and they should be arrested, but they were given pardons. Was he given a pardon, Mayorkas? Was he not?
I don't believe so.
Well,
sir.
I'd take a look at that one, because what he did is it's beyond incompetence. Something had to be done. Now, with that being said, he took orders from other people, and he was really doing the orders. And you could say he was very loyal to them, because it must have been very hard for him to stand up and sit up and talk about what he allowed to happen to this country and be serious about it. So he was given orders. If he wasn't given a pardon, I could see looking at that. In fact, why don't you take a look at it, Kristen? He was impeached, but yeah, it was just a fake impeachment. It was a fake impeachment. Why don't you take a look at it? I think he was so bad. They were all so bad. Look, it was the worst president in the history of our country. We've had some bad ones, but he was the worst president. But somebody told Mayorkas to do that, and he followed orders, but that doesn't necessarily hold him harmless. So take a look at it. It's a very good question, actually. Thank you. Yeah, please. Go ahead.
Mr. President, you and the Secretary have both said that many people have self-deported since you came back into office. Yeah. How many is many, and has the rate gone up? How do you see the tempo of that moving forward going on?
We have had several 100,000, but also we have many that have self-deported, not even using the CBP Home app. When I have gone to these other countries to negotiate security agreements and information sharing on criminals who's coming and going into their countries, they report that hundreds of thousands have come home that weren't on our radar, that they are coming home on their own and self-deporting because they want the chance to be able to go back to America someday. So we believe it's over 1 million, possibly more than that. I'm asking all of those countries for their information on what they have of individuals that may have returned home, that they have taking advantage of their programs to help them become a part of their civilization again too. So we know it's over 1 million, but we have to, I'm getting more information, and that number will grow.
If they don't leave, they never get the chance to come back. If we have to take them out, and we will, they'll go out, but they never get a chance to come back. The other way, we actually make it a little bit easier for them to come back. Okay? Thank you. Good question. Thank you.
The bill is now passed in the Senate, but we are already hearing from some Republicans in the House who say they cannot get on board with the changes that were made to the bill in the Senate. What is your message to those holdouts?
Well, I just heard that about the Senate, and the bill just passed, and it tells you there's something for everyone. I mean, it's a great bill. There is something for everyone, and I think it's going to go very nicely in the House. Actually, I think it will be easier in the House than it was in the Senate.
And just to be clear, on the Medicaid cuts, you've promised not to cut Medicaid, said this is all just targeting waste, fraud, and abuse. Are you saying that the estimated 11.8 million people who could lose their health coverage, that is all waste, fraud, and abuse?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying it's going to be a very much smaller number than that, and that number will be waste, fraud, and abuse. And if you look, they took a much more liberal stance on the Medicaid situation than they could have. They had a tough stance and a weak stance. They took not a very strong stance on that to start off, and it's waste, fraud, and abuse, and everybody wants that covered.
What number is that? What analysis are you seeing?
I'm not seeing a number, but I know it's much less than the number you gave, and we really were very, very cognizant of three things. Social Security, we're going to take care of it beautifully. Medicare and Medicaid, and we are going to save it, whereas the Democrats are going to, you won't have it. They will destroy Medicare and Medicaid, and they have to because their numbers don't work. So it's not going to happen. They're the ones that have destroyed Medicare. They have made it so bad already, they're going to make it a lot worse. But now we'll be in charge, so we're going to have no problem with Medicaid or
Medicare or Social Security. Thank you. Yeah.
Claire Galt with Wink News in Fort Myers. What is your direction to ICE when it comes to arresting farm workers here illegally, other workers in industries that are pretty critical to Florida's economy?
Yeah. Well, we're very much cognizant of that, and as you know, I won the farmers by 92%.
That's why it's just everybody has something, like a lot of good.
We were strong on the borders,
and I say good, quote unquote, like it's just a lot of money. It's hard for people to say no to money. Like I'm telling you.
And
even the stuff with the things he disagrees with, they're still getting all of their old money. Anything, if it can't, some shit's getting rescinded if it hasn't been spent yet. But like every single group, every state, they are all getting an incentive to want to take the bill. That's why I'm like, that's even you guys get one. You guys are getting taxes from next year till the 2029 or forever. You are going to get a huge tax break. That's great for everybody. Especially if you're not making, more than 200 grand or something, you're going to really benefit off of that. And that's a good thing. And then the people inheriting properties or anything, you just got a huge benefit. So you're getting paid too, but unfortunately, it's just like that's why it's so much money. Everybody's getting paid.
And others in charge of the people that they have under them. They know the people, and I think it's going to work out really well. We're going to take care of our farmer, but we're going to get the criminals out. Okay? Yeah, go ahead, please.
Thank you. Mr. President, how do you respond to critics who fear that a 3,000-bed detention center and the waste that could produce will pollute the surrounding federal protected land, including land that both administrations have invested billions of dollars in restoring?
Well, I was one of those that invested billions of dollars and hundreds of millions of dollars right here in the Meadowlands, but in the Everglades, and the Meadowlands too in New York. If you look at what we did up there, speaking of the Meadowlands, a lot of places like this.
You're going to benefit.
Very unique one.
I don't know if you're going to use if you do a lot of overtime.
We'll be gone a million years.
Right off the bat, you're going to save a lot off W-2 taxes.
You'll have the
I think if you're making below 150, you're going to save at least a couple grand.
People, but you're
like
going to have
1,500 is like 2,500, I think.
And you got plenty of them out here. I think it was a brilliant choice.
And then if you have all the other stuff, it's even more.
I think
then you'll have different qualified deductions.
Anybody in his or her right mind would say this was a brilliant choice. I give
and then if you're in a fucking liberal state, you're going to take advantage of state and local taxes.
It's on top of something
so now
that was
that'll
already
be another
developed.
50 grand of random write-offs you could take.
It's already been developed.
So now,
so it's not like you're dropping dirt right into the.
You'll have a very minimal
there was
tax
zero
liability.
Movement of that. That was done many years ago.
That goes into effect starting 2026.
But it was an
so again, you're already doing
railroad,
2025 taxes already.
Airport.
Starting 2026, this will begin. That's the bullish
like
back end.
And you can do expansion on this site substantially without doing anything. So the people, I heard them complaining about the Everglades.
50K of write-offs, yeah.
There's no
50K.
There's no. I don't think you've done anything.
So again, if you don't make enough to use it, you can't. That's why I'm saying
this
all
was
the
already
rich
here.
liberals,
How
they
long
love
has the airport
salt.
been here?
Because then you can get a bunch of random ass
decades.
write-offs
And they have,
for anything you
Kevin,
want. Usually.
all these guys,
it's crazy.
Have a waste plan. Like the wastewater gets trucked out, potable water gets. Literally, they have even
6
our
months till
DOT has
2026.
put things up in case there's any seepage.
Baba, what up, Yuli?
So you
what
are
up, Corey?
literally doing this on concrete that's already here. So I don't think those are valid and even good faith criticisms because it's not going to impact the Everglades at all. President's been a champion. We've been a champion. Really changed the game in Florida on it. I think it's just people don't want to see illegal immigrants deported, and that's their ideology, and they have a right to that. But illegal immigration's unpopular, so they know that they're going to have less effect trying to do it. So they're going to try, oh, well, no, it's just about the Everglades. But really, I think a lot of those people, they just don't want to see illegals deported. Because if you actually hear everyone's here, you obviously know there's zero land that's being disturbed.
Well, when we talk about popularity, though, I will say I ran on the issue of illegals, and we have to get them out. And I won 82% on that issue. So I think that they may not like certain aspects of it, but ultimately they do not want them in their country. And if this is a part of a use, but I think from an environmental standpoint, it's incredible. In fact, when we landed that very big, heavy plane today, they came out and checked it fairly. I think they want the president to be able to land on a piece of concrete that's not going to go 6 feet underground. And they checked it. They came back and they said, this thing is really solid. So it's been there a long time. It's going to be here a long time, and it was a great choice of a site. Thank you. Yes, please. Brian, go ahead.
Yes, sir.
The people of Syria were recently seen on the streets waving American flags, chanting Trump, Trump, Trump. They're so appreciative of the economic sanctions that was lifted on that country, giving them a little bit of hope for prosperity. You want to comment on that?
Dude, Trump's been live all
They're
day.
great people, and the man that is leading them has a reputation. You know, he's the head of some pretty tough organizations, and a lot of people criticized me for that. I said, well, what are we going to do? Take him out of a day school, a country day school? It's going to be, by nature, I would think, Ron, they'll be pretty tough, and he is pretty tough. But I met him. Spent a lot of time with him, good guy. I took off the sanctions because if I didn't do that, they wouldn't have had a chance. And Syria has a chance. You know, the people are great. They work hard. They're very smart. It used to be a place of professionals, accountants and lawyers and doctors and high academic credentials in that part of the world. And I think it's going to work out great. I took off the sanctions and they were very appreciative. They were shocked, but they were very appreciative. We're giving them a chance at survival. With the sanctions, it couldn't have worked. Thank you. Yeah.
Mr. President, your beloved New York City may well be led by a communist soon, Zoran Mandami, who in his nomination speech said he will defy ICE and will not allow ICE to arrest criminal aliens in New York City. Your message to communist Zoran Mandami?
Well, then we'll have to arrest him. Look, we don't need a communist in this country, but if we have one, I'm going to be watching over him very carefully on behalf of the nation. We send him money. We send him all the things that he needs to run a government. And by the way, they get about 3 times what you get, Ron. If you look at the per capita, Florida gets
Time
1/3
flies.
of what New York
59
gets in terms
bonds.
of, the numbers. Why don't you give us those numbers?
Let's go, baby.
Yeah, well,
that's what we
Thank
should
you for
send
being
him.
a beacon.
Yeah, like sometimes people say Florida gets more because
She
they
didn't
count
do it,
Social
bro. We'd have one
Security
less long
recipients,
term.
But that's not
But
money
you
to the
did it,
state.
so now
Those
we
are
got one
seniors
more
that live
long
here.
term.
If you move to North Carolina, you could count it there. So it has no interaction with the state government. They get more in the city and state governments than we get.
Right, substantially. We're going to be watching that very carefully, and a lot of people are saying he's here illegally. We're going to look at everything, and ideally, he's going to turn out to be much less than a communist. But right now, he's a communist. That's not a socialist. You know, I've always said we will not have socialism in this country. In the speeches, I said, well, what? They skipped socialism, and you got a lot of them like that. And you see AOC, she's out there with her, bad IQ. She's out there ranting and raving about how wonderful he is. And look, so far he's winning. He still has a race to win, but so far he's winning, and he has an advantage as a Democrat in New York City. I was there a long time ago, and it was a long time since a Republican won the city. But you would think that a Republican would be able to win. Or you have a good independent running, Mayor Adams, who's a very good person. I helped him out a little bit. He had a problem, and he was unfairly hurt over this question. He made a statement to the effect that this is terrible. New York City can't have all these immigrants come in. And like he was indicted the following day. And I said, that was a phony indictment. That it was a phony indictment. That was a Biden indictment. I said, don't feel bad. I got indicted 5 times every time you opened your mouth. That was a bad group. That was a very dangerous group, I will tell you. These were not nice people. That was the only thing they could do. They had no policy. They had no skill. They had no anything. But they were very good at that. They were vicious, vicious, horrible people. Thank you very much. Yeah, please go ahead.
Anna Giratelli with Washington Examiner. Governor DeSantis has proposed using National Guard, deputizing them as immigration judges to get through this massive backlog of people in the immigration court. Would you be open to that?
Yes, he has my approval. Okay. That wasn't too hard to get, was it, front? He didn't even have to ask me, James. You didn't even need James to ask me. He has my approval, okay? Good. I also like what he's doing in Okeechobee. He has my approval for that, too. I don't know how we work that out, but we'll work it out.
We'll follow up.
Go ahead. Please.
President Trump, Jake Stofan with Action News Jax from up in Jacksonville. There's some talk about a facility similar to this up in Camp Blanding. Has that been approved by DHS? If not, what's the timeline?
Wells Fargo
when could we
says
see
excise
groundbreak
tax
on that?
removal
Well,
negative
I'll
for
ask
First
Ron or
Solar.
James to talk about it. Do you want to mention it, James?
And China's still going.
The overarching plan, I think the secretary has said she supports the whole plan, so you guys are going to keep going. Yeah.
So, Mr. President, just specifically, the response for proposals is out for that today. It closes, I can't even remember what day of the week it is, but it closes on Wednesday at 5 o'clock. then we will do notice to proceed. So I would say right after our wonderful Independence Day, we will be starting construction there at that facility.
You have another big runway there too.
That's great. Wow. Well, I love these runways. It's very convenient, I must say. Having a runway is a nice thing. Today, you don't get runways approved. I will tell you, it's tough to get a runway. Although in the age of Trump, you get them approved fast. You know, we're approving massive electrical bins, what they call them bins, but big electrical facilities for all of the factories and the AI that's coming in. They're going to build their own electric. They're going to be really. They're going to be made into electrical providers. They're going to have a lot left over. They'll put it into the grid. I think they're going to end up doing so much. They'll put it into the grid. Won't even cost anything from their standpoint. But so we have a lot of that happening. We get approvals fast. So, but I was just saying, runways are hard to get, but we'll get them now. But in the past, I would say over the past 30, 40 years, when you can get a runway, that was considered gold. Okay, please go ahead. Go ahead. Sure. Okay, go ahead. Yes.
President Trump, Laverne McGee, News 6 Orlando. You have fulfilled several campaign promises along with the help of Governor Ron DeSantis. What is the next campaign promise that you plan to fulfill to the American people?
So we have turned this country around in less than 6 months. And when I was away, and I was telling Ron, I was telling some others, I've said it a little publicly, I guess, but I met a lot of very important people. The King of Saudi Arabia, I was there 2 weeks ago, and Qatar, the leader of Qatar, who's great, and the leader of UAE, who's great. These are very substantial people, very smart people, and good people. And all three of them said essentially the same thing, along with many other people, because I just left NATO. We took it up to 5%. Nobody can believe that one run. That would be hard, but nobody believes that. What happened in NATO, over $1 trillion a year from like nothing. It was an honor. But every leader said that a year ago, this country was dead. They had no confidence in the United States. They really felt it was a dead country, and it was some bad things were gonna happen. But they used the term, it was a dead country, and now they said you have the hottest country anywhere in the world. We're the hottest country in the world right now. And we turned it around fast. I thought it would take longer than this. We turned it around fast. Some of it was psychology, and we had to know how good we were. But others was getting rid of rules, regulations, and all of the things that I got rid of already. I signed more executive orders than anybody in history, times like 3 or 4. And I got rid of just one. I got rid of the other night. You buy a house, they have a faucet in the house, Joe, and the faucet, the water doesn't come out. They have a restrictor. You can't, in areas where you have so much water, they don't know what to do with it. You have a shower head, the shower doesn't, you think it's not working. It is working. The water's dripping out. And that's no good for me. I like this hair I like that hair nice and wet. You have to stand in the shower for 20 minutes before you get the soap out of your hair. And I put a thing in, and it sounds funny, but it's really not. It's horrible. And when you wash your hands, you turn on the faucet, no water comes out. You're washing, the water barely comes out. So this was done by crazy people. And I wrote it all off and got it approved in Congress so that they can't just change it, because I did it in my first term. Everyone was so happy. And then one of the first things that Biden did when he came back is he put the restriction on showers, toilets, and sinks. Put this restriction, and washing machines. The washing machine, they give you like a quarter of this bottle to do your clothing. And people needed 10 of these bottles. And the people came to me from Whirlpool, and they said, we can't make a machine that's competitive. We can't make a machine anymore. Why? They don't let us use water. Do you have any
and then there's a headline on a
so
judge blocking Trump admin
heaven, right?
for overhauling health agencies.
I approved all of that, the washing machines, the whole thing. The dishwashers, that was the other one. They give you like this much water right up to there to do your dishes. So people, you know what they do? They keep pressing the button. So they end up doing the dishes 10 times. They end up using more water than you would have used if you did it right in the first place. So all of that stuff has been written off. It sounds crazy. It's little things. The straw, I let you go back to a plastic straw. I was tired of having straws melt in my mouth, you know? It wasn't working. The paper wasn't working too well. So these are little things that I did. Then we have the big things.
My guy,
we have
bro.
the biggest things, and that has to do with
you know that?
some of the subjects we're talking now. I think the things we're talking about
somebody
now
who
are the biggest
understands
because
the paper,
if you don't
like a
have
real
borders in this
human,
country,
like,
borders
thank
and
you,
good
he
elections,
gets
and
it.
we're working on that next. There's some bills coming in that's going to make sure that you're a citizen, that people aren't counted in the voting when
Biden
you know
family didn't
they were
care
here and they're
because
here
you
as
could
illegals and they're
snort
criminals
out
in
of
many
any type of
cases, and they
straw.
give them a count, and you end up with extra congressmen. We're going to work on that. We're going to straighten that out next. That's going to be easy compared to what we were doing, but we did the big things too. But little things like that, a straw, little things like a washing machine with no water. People go out, they spend all their money on a washing machine. The damn thing doesn't work. You can't use the water. Then you go to your sink and that doesn't work either. You're stuck. You know what you do? You have dirty plates the next day. That's it. And we solved so many common sense problems. And they weren't easy. You know, there are people that really believe in this stuff. But, you know, most states have so much water they don't know what to do with it. And look at North Carolina. I mean, they had a lot of water. And they have to get restrictors on their, you know, on their kitchen faucets. So we're very proud of the things we did, and we're going to do a lot more of them. Yeah, please, go ahead. Guy's in good shape.
Hey, it's Eric Bowling. How you doing, sir? Something we've talked about for, I'd say, better part of 20 years. I think it's something near and dear to your heart, energy, our energy security. Under Joe Biden, average price of oil for the 4 years was about $79 a barrel. He drained the SPR halfway down, promised to replenish it, never did.
Right.
Under you, first term, $53 average price for 4 years. Biden was $78 for 8 years. It was never refilled. The question is now it's $64 or so.
Yeah.
What
coming down rapidly.
Coming down, and what a great opportunity to fix another one of Joe Biden's problems, one of the things he broke in America, giving us the energy security of an emergency SPR.
Sure.
Fill it to, maybe even go beyond and fill it to 1 billion barrels this time at a much cheaper price. Thoughts on the energy sector?
So it holds 77 million barrels, and we had it up to the top, if you remember. And I was proud of that, and I made a deal to buy it at the lowest price of oil. It was a good deal, good instinct. And we filled it up, and when he came in, he started using it to keep oil prices down because he blew our energy policy out. Energy and his bad spending is what caused inflation. So now we have no inflation. Gasoline just hit $1.99 today in 5 states. $1.99, isn't that a nice sound? It was up to $4, and going up to $5, $6, and $7. In California, it was $7.70. But we just hit in five states, $1.99, $1.98. And it's coming down to that level, so that'll be a big thing. And one
Honestly,
of the reasons
though,
the
I don't know why he
says
says
when
this.
you go to the supermarket.
No. I don't know. I'm pretty sure gas is not $1.99 anywhere.
Food is coming down.
This
When I
is one
came
of
out,
his this is the part
my
where
first
people are
week,
like
if you
Donald
remember,
Trump
I
lies
had
all
a
the time.
lunatic
He
reporter
likes to
screaming
like
at me
pump and
saying,
promote, but this is
eggs are
one
going through the
that I
roof. What are you
don't
gonna
think
do
I don't
about
know
eggs?
where
I
he
said,
gets
I
this
just
one
got here.
from.
I
This
didn't
one
know
is
anything
not
about
technically
eggs.
true.
I had to-
It's not
I had to phone you.
$1.99 anywhere.
I
You don't
said,
have any
look,
average
I
90.
just
Maybe
gotta
in
tell me the
Texas,
problem. Well, they're doubled
maybe
in
in
price,
some
and they're gonna be
places,
5 or
but
6 times higher.
like
They were right,
RBA,
actually.
a lot of like this
I
this
said,
one's
let me work
capped,
on
but
it.
then
And
this
now
one's
we have
not
eggs
even
down to
like
the same numbers
I don't
it
even
was
know
when I
where he
first
gets.
came
I don't know
in.
why
we
he
lowered
even
the
says
cost
this
of
one.
groceries.
You know,
A
like you
simple
could
word
say
like that,
just like
groceries,
Powell
is
lying. I'm
almost
like, why the fuck are you
a
lying
strange
about
word.
this
I
one?
hadn't heard the word
God,
in
but
so
this one,
long,
I'm
but
like,
what could be
it's
more
not
beautiful than the word
like
grocery?
yeah.
And,
Even the
we have
cheapest
the prices
places.
way
This
down.
is a huge
We have the energy
exaggeration.
way down.
This
Energy
one,
brought
I don't
the
think he's
groceries
trying to
down,
like
if you wanna know the
lie
truth.
and
You know,
mislead, but
so,
this is not
we think we're
correct
gonna
at
get
all.
it lower, and
It's
we're
not
gonna fill up the
$1.99
national
anywhere.
it's
Yeah,
called
that's
the
not.
strategic
So
national reserves.
unfortunately,
I had it topped
we're
out,
gonna have to call him
and
out
this
on
guy
that
would
one.
use them every time
I don't know
before the
why he
election.
keeps
he'd
saying
use
it.
them
So that one he
whenever they
should
had an
probably
election.
drop
It was
it.
artificial. But believe it or not, as big as that are tens of hundreds of millions
Well, that's what I'm
of
saying. Is
barrels
like
of
I've heard
oil
him say
all
this a
filled
lot,
up at low
and
prices.
like I want to believe him,
But it
but
was
then I
really
have
good
looked
for
into it,
wars,
and as I looked into it, I can't
it
find
wasn't meant for
$1.99
keeping
anywhere.
your
Nobody
prices
can.
down during the holidays
It's not
so
on the
that somebody could get
futures.
elected.
It's not
They
on
used it.
RBA. Even
And
if
they
you
didn't
took
bring
out
it-
the
only mistake they
taxes,
made, they didn't
it's
bring it way down. They
$1.99
brought it
as an
right down to the
average
bottom.
is very,
The
very
thing is
low, and that does
practically
not
empty.
exist.
They
So,
never filled it
yeah,
up.
I
They
don't know
never
why
spent 10
he
cents in filling it
exaggerates
up.
this one. It
And
did
we'll
come
do
down,
that.
and he's
when
done
the market is right,
a
we'll
good
fill it
job,
up. I
but
wanna
it's not
fill it up
not
when the market's
$1.99.
right. Thank you. How about one more question?
He's like, okay, let's
please,
wrap this
back.
up.
Dana Marie McNichol, Fox News Channel. Mr. President, is there an expected time frame that detainees will spend here, days, weeks, months? And does that have anything to do with the immigration judges you just spoke about being trained and staffed here?
When you say, what was the first part of your question? Who?
Is there a specific time frame you expect the detainees to spend here? Days, weeks, months?
In Florida?
Yes, here at Alligator Alcatraz.
I'm going to spend a lot. Look, this is my home state. I love it. I love your government. I love all the people around. These are all friends of mine. They know them very well. I mean, I'm not surprised that they do so well. They're great people. Ron has been a friend of mine for a long time. I feel very comfortable in the state. I'll spend a lot of time here. I want to, for 4 years, I've got to be in Washington, and I'm okay with it because I love the White House. I even fix up the little Oval Office. I make it, it's like a diamond. It's beautiful. It's so beautiful. It wasn't maintained properly, I will tell you that. But even when it wasn't, it was still the Oval Office, so it meant a lot. But I'll spend as much time as I can here. My vacation is generally here because it's convenient. I live in Palm Beach. It's my home. And I have a very nice little place, nice little cottage to stay at, right? But we have a lot of fun, and I'm a big contributor to Florida, pay a lot of tax. And a lot of people move from New York, and I don't know what New York is going to do. A lot of people moved to Florida from New York, and it was for a lot of reasons, but one of them was taxes. The taxes are so high in New York, they're leaving. I don't know what New York's going to do about that, because some of the biggest wealthiest people and some of the people that pay the most taxes of any people anywhere in the world, for that matter, they're moving to Florida and other places. So we're going to have to help some of these states out, I think. But thank you very much. I'll be here as much as I can. Very nice question. With that, I'd like to just end by saying I want to thank Ron and James and all of the people that have done such a great job, all of your staff. Really fantastic work. And it really started with site selection. You can do a great job, but if you have the wrong site in real estate, you have the wrong site, you're dead. And this was a great site selection, despite what you may read in the environmental press. Good job. And this was an honor for Christy and myself and Steve and all of our people to be here. And I also appreciate the media. They've treated us very fairly. Over the last few weeks, I've been treated very nicely. And it's so unusual. I'm not used to it, but we've gotten great accolades. Brian, I want to thank you for calling out, because I was waiting here because I knew the vote was taking place and I'm answering questions, right? So I want to thank you very much and say hello to our friend. And I will see a lot of you. Thank you very much. We're going to make America great again. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Oh, I was muted. Yeah, JG, whatever that was. And then, yeah, that is over. Yalla. But yeah, Trump on Strategic Petroleum Reserve will fill it when it's right. They already put $1.3 billion in the bill. That's the funny part. So that's the thing, is like they could ask him the SPR question all day, but remember I showed it to you. $1.3 billion is already in the bill for filling the reserve. So maybe, who knows when it will happen, but I know they have $1.3 billion for that purpose. That's in the bill. Big bill. If everybody's getting something, bro. But yeah, Chattadonia, not bad. Perfect timing. Leading us into Philo. So you are going to have Caroline, I think, as well. But, I think God is good, bro. And I'm ready for Philo. You guys got long terms. Y'all getting cribs. It's a good day for Philo, baby. So let's do it. Let's talk about the Lord and praise God. But if you don't want to be there, don't be there. But if you do want to be there, I would love to have you there. So let's move on over. You don't really have too many other events. A couple of random poppers. I hope understanding the equal weight. That should have gave you an edge a little bit today, or at least made you not freak out. So either way, I'll see you at Philo if you want to be there. If not, you have a wonderful day, and God bless America, and thank you to the veterans, baby. Peace.